The college football experience week 6 preview picks and draft episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is offering plenty of markets this week for the PGA Championship that you really can't find anywhere else. So what are you doing? Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
Hey, everybody, Jim McMahon here, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Week 6 preview picks and draft. Oh yeah, we're already 6 weeks in. Go back, check out week 5, week 4, week 3, week 2, week 1, and week 0. I can fucking count backwards. Folks, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Shout out to Weehawk. Line up the bourbons tonight. Shout out to Alan Cooley, Robert Martin, and Timothy Green. Already rocking in the chat 4 hours ago. Robert Martin was talking college football. It's a hell of a good human being there.
That's right.
Weehawk saying Patty C's already putting him down.
Let's go.
Is the shotgun happening tonight?
Absolutely.
If you listen,
Shotgun will happen in about 2 minutes. Just fucking do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Why wait?
What's in
Started
LA
with the bang.
In LA radio, there's like a guy, Shotgun Tom Kelly. We need to change that. Like, he stole your name, essentially.
That's right.
Shotgun Patty C.
Shotgun
Boom.
Patty C.
I'll take it.
Folks, hopefully you're watching youtube.com/the college experience. We are just getting started. We got team previews coming very, very soon. FCS college football experiences. Rocket just did an episode yesterday talking to CAA. And you also have, the Stadium Heads podcast with myself and College Football Campus Tour. We break down all the great stadiums in college football and basically explain to you why college football is the greatest thing on the face of the planet. So you want to check out the Stadium Heads podcast, and I would recommend viewing it because you get the visual, Michael's photos, some Pick Dundee graphics, all that shit. So hop on over there and check that stuff out. I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh. Well, and let's do this shotgun
Let's get
right
it going.
now.
Let's get it going.
Woo.
Starting it off with a gun. All right, guns up, funds up. All right, something like that.
Woo.
All right, we're also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. We're still playing UFL DFS, folks. Hop on over there. Also check out the UFL Gambling Podcast. But we are joined by the Rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lot giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
There we go. Let's go. Let's go. That's what's going on.
If it's Shotgun Patty C, I'm gonna give myself a nickname, Two Finger Nick. How about that?
I like
Two,
that.
two fingers, like the
That's-
amount of whiskey you pour in your glass. Okay.
Okay.
That could go a lot of ways.
Thank you for clarifying basis of that nickname there.
Here, I thought you were gonna play on the nickname the Boz, but I guess
Old Two Finger
yeah.
Nick is born today.
Weehawk knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Come on.
We have a bunch of shit going on right now. In he says 3, by the way.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
One upped.
There you
That's
go.
2 is light work. Let's be honest.
We got.
Well, depending on which part we're talking about here.
You leave Rebecca out of this. What's he saying, Kingpin?
What is it? You can put 3 holes.
Yeah.
I don't think
Let me
a
tell
fist.
you, what's that?
I don't think a fist is a measurement of a spirit.
Well,
For a strong fist.
it's under review. Folks, we got news, college football news going left and right. As far as TV, we got another week 0 game. McNeese State, the Cowboys are heading to Tarleton State to take on the Texans. Week 0 on campus. None of this foo-foo neutral site bullshit.
It was McNeese and Tarleton.
Yeah,
McNeese is
out of Louisiana, Lake
Louisiana.
Charles.
That's right.
Wasn't that the first FCS game in the spring a couple years ago?
It was. No. It was in the fall. And
Right.
COVID had happened.
Right.
COVID had happened, so that was the game that all DGens watched.
Oh yeah.
I've had
I
a lot
remember
of,
like
it was a great
yesterday.
game. It was a
It
great
was.
game. It
I
went
think-
down to like the final drive. Yeah,
Did McNeese come back and beat Tarleton?
I think so.
I think
or
so.
no, maybe it was vice versa. I think
Yeah, I forget.
I don't know. I they had Orgeron's son, Cody
Yeah,
Orgeron was
right.
quarterback on the team.
I think Coach O was in the stands.
Goddamn right he is. He wasn't wearing no fucking mask. Are you kidding me? I mean, come on. Coach O doesn't wear a mask. But we do have news.
He doesn't believe in any kind of protection.
That's right.
That's true. If anything,
Yeah, it's
let's stay in the
sharing the germs. We're increasing our immune system.
Right.
Coach
He doesn't
O's
believe in any
germs.
viruses either.
I like to think that Coach O was behind this move. Oklahoma quarterback General Booty transfers to ULM. I mean, I want ULM is Bryant Vincent's first year, former UAB assistant. He was New Mexico's OC. I'm hoping. I know it sounds bad to wish unemployment on someone because I have nothing against Michael Desmarais, but I'm hoping that the Raging Cajuns get Ed Orgeron at some point.
Who has to have some actual Cajun blood?
And can General Booty then transfer? That's
Yeah.
the one time I would let a transfer across rivals.
Yeah.
It just needs to happen. But Orgeron, who knows if he's talking to X's and O's right now? I think he's just still searching for General Booty all
That's
throughout
right.
Louisiana.
I think he's well stocked in General Booty from what I've been able to see about Ed O.
What's better, scattered ass or General Booty?
Damn it, man! I already named White Tiger, but Scattered Ass sounds fucking great if I have a second son. Hey, Scattered Ass, can you grab me a beer? All right. So McNeese Tarleton, week 0. I mean, I look. It was a weaker slate, but now we get a game on campus.
Are they in conference?
That is Tarleton's in the UAC. McNeese is in the Southland.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
You know, I was just thinking about it. There aren't a lot of Texas Louisiana rivalries out there, despite the fact that they're share a border, a big one. You would think, and kind of a similar culture in a way. I feel like was the show with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson?
True Detective.
True Detective. They got that like Southern Louisiana, like East Texas, like
yeah. The first
fucking
season,
vibe.
actually, last season wasn't bad, but the newest one in Alaska, no,
I haven't seen it yet.
I fell asleep a lot.
Either
I
way,
thought it was decent actually.
The Alaska one,
Yeah.
who
I
stars in
enjoyed
that
it.
one?
Jodie Foster.
That's a pretty fucking good actress.
I tried several times, I just couldn't do
Couldn't
it.
get it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've struggled with a few of those newer ones.
The worst one was the season with Vince Vaughn by far.
I would argue this one's the worst one.
No. Wrong.
Well,
Sorry.
okay.
I haven't even started it. Who's the what was the third season? Who's the star? The black guy. I forget his name.
I forget, but Steven Dorff's in it.
Okay, Stephen
I
Dorff.
thought the third season was excellent.
It
I did
started
too.
to get good when I stopped watching.
The third was good. Yeah, I like what you do. You
How
look
do you
for
know?
something boring. You look for something
That's
boring,
not-
and
it's
then when
good.
it gets good, all right. Now it's a lot like JMU football, right?
Let me say this. Now with Texas coming into the SEC, that could be the rivalry with LSU that kind of sparks.
I would say Texas A&M already has it a little more.
I don't think that ever
Yeah.
got fucking established. Really, I think that was always what was supposed to happen with that rivalry, but there was never really any animosity. and never really any stakes because A&M was never that good.
Tulane Rice has always been heat. All right.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Maybe McNeese and Tarleton could be like, the precursor to Texas.
There we go.
LSU.
Well, Tarleton's on the come up. They have aspirations to go FBS.
Okay.
And we saw Missouri State go FBS. They're joining the Conference USA. Richmond's going to the Patriot League, which is a mystery. Shout out to a huge number. Going to have a bushwhacker on the deck at Floribama this weekend for Coach Leach. Hey, there we go. Rest in peace to the great Mike Leach.
A bushwhack. That's a drink. I'm not familiar with that. That sounds like a Florida drink if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, I don't know what that is either, but you keep doing it. All right.
It was a wrestling tag team in the 90s.
Yes.
I'm familiar with those. Now I kind of would you
it was
try
Legion
a
of Doom
bushwhacker?
that played at Ohio State. The Bushwhackers, they were probably at Tarleton State.
That's right.
So look, we got other news. All right, the people listening for the first time was like, "What the fuck's this show about?" Ohio State Northwestern. That game has moved to Wrigley Field because Ohio State, brings a crowd, and Northwestern says, "Wait, have you seen guys where Northwestern's playing their games this year?"
Yes.
This is fucking. This is why Northwestern's stupid. They're looking at the financial side of this and saying, "Hey, a lot of Ohio State fans travel. Let's play at Wrigley," which I love. I think a lot. I personally think every team should play at a baseball stadium throughout the year because it's part of football's history. They, played at baseball fields for about 170 years. So I like that, but
it's cool. But
one game.
Yeah.
No, one game. Cause look, when you get the mud going, when it gets like
I
Candlestick, you know what I mean?
It's a cool venue. Absolutely. For a game, when you have that much tradition at a venue, you can make because of the history of football being played in baseball stadiums, it still works.
Yeah.
Especially if it's outdoors.
I don't think you have, just because it's history, I don't think you have to always have history. Some things that they've improved upon. I don't think you need to play
football
in baseball
stadiums. They certainly have not improved upon.
Well,
Wrigley is way
you
better.
Actually
than,
want like the dirt part, like the bases and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't need that. I don't think we should go back to that just because we did it.
It's all about the aesthetics. It's
I
all
don't
about
think
the
that
aesthetics.
should be the permanent thing, but that's a cool a cool look if you're trying to drum up some kind of feeling about a game.
How many times I can tell you as a kid what drew me into watching football and stuff. We were watching these videos. You'd see like some guy somersault into the end zone of Joe Robbie and it's mud or something. It's just a cool. But my point is, in this instance, even though I appreciate it at Wrigley was the home of the Chicago Bears for a long fucking time. Is if you're Northwestern, you want to win against Ohio State. I actually think you should have kept it because that win is going to be. Have you seen this?
Off the lake.
Have you seen this? No one's going to be able to throw a ball in like the winter months. This is November 30th, by the way, right?
Well, especially if you
They're
think
stupid.
Northwestern has a chance in this game.
Well, they have a chance if you make Ohio State. If they can't throw the ball,
not have a massive home field advantage,
and
which they will at Wrigley Field.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it 2 years ago? I think an undefeated Penn State team came into Northwestern and just barely got out of there with the win. Or was it Ohio State?
I think it was Ohio State.
Maybe it was Ohio State.
Yeah.
Northwestern's record was what last year?
They won 8 games.
Yeah. So I mean, you figure
it's a fuck up by them.
Yeah, you probably don't want to give Ohio State any advantage.
It's a fuck up by them. It's going to be a home game for Ohio State.
So you think the advantage of playing at that smaller stadium
out on campus,
what, that practice fucking
it's
facility?
On campus first off. So like Chicago's going to have a bunch of Ohio State fans. They still would have came out to that thing. But if you had limited the seats, you'll have that place has limited seats. Yeah. So like you would be hard to get a
10
ticket.
10 fans and a high wind.
High wind. So kicking game's horrible. Your passing game's horrible. But once again, they don't think about this
That's
shit.
a lot better than
call 1-800-PICK-DUNDEE. All right. How's that for a flying squirrel?
How
you
about
filthy
this?
bitches.
They're also probably trying to make a little money off of that game, assuming they're going to lose.
Northwestern doesn't need money.
Yeah, maybe
all
not.
right.
I'm sure they still
like it. They have an $800 million stadium being built.
I'm sure they still like it.
Rich people like money, Patty. See,
that's why they got they got rich.
Okay, well, have fun in 20 years when they're not in the Big Ten and they get sent down and they're hanging out in the MAC and the MAC says, "No, you're too. We don't need you guys."
They've been in the same role for 100 years. I don't think they're at risk of like.
What? We just saw the Pac-12
never know.
completely go away.
Well, yeah, you never know. It is.
I would say
a
more
new
than
era of
dude.
College football.
I bet you 20 years from now, Northwestern's not in the Big Ten.
Well, I don't think we're gonna.
I think Vanderbilt's not in the SEC either. No, if you're not concerned about that, I mean, come on. But let's talk about that because, boy, the ACC had meetings. They had meetings, and man, North Carolina has said some statements. I believe it was a few. Let me see if I can get an official name. I believe where the hell I got more articles. I got more windows open here than a fucking painter. But yeah, I believe someone on the board of trustees, multiple people for North Carolina, went on record saying they have to get essentially out of the situation. Did
they say that? I thought they just said. I only looked at it briefly.
No,
but
they said that they basically want if the ACC doesn't kick more money, I think they kind of alluded to the fact
they're making
and that's the real piece. I think, a lot of people have reported that the SEC and Big Ten wouldn't go get Clemson and Florida State unless like the whole thing came. Like they're not going to breach the contract. But North Carolina is the one that apparently both would want to get in there because it's a state that they don't have a school in.
Yeah.
And that
it fits really well in both of them.
Well, no, it doesn't fit in the SEC whatsoever. I don't think.
What?
North Carolina and the SEC,
dude.
I think it fits in the Big Ten.
It fits in the SEC. It is Southern gentility. It is fucking. Go to North Carolina. I mean, you're in North Carolina, so I don't have to tell you, I guess. But
they're like a wine and cheese crowd, though.
They are a wine and cheese crowd, but I still feel like
I guess Vanderbilt is.
You're not going to have a ruckus stadium at North Carolina, but as far as like that is a Southern school, in my opinion. It's not a deep South school.
I feel like they always cared about academics more so than any school not named Vanderbilt.
You can bring up a couple of those basketball essays that I read.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not necessarily talking about the basketball team. I'm talking about the people that go there and the university as a whole.
You telling me Lawrence Taylor graduated through there?
That's right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Again, honestly, I'm not talking about necessarily the football program. I'm talking about like the people who did not play sports who went there.
Well, okay. Yes, I agree. Academically and maybe even culturally, it probably is a better fit in the Big Ten. I would say though, from the state's position, the flagship school in a definite Southern state like North Carolina, I mean, and a geographic fit, it belongs in the SEC. Yeah. And I'm sure they want it.
All right, maybe you got a point.
Either way, I actually think this is the biggest news of all of them because I think this is the one that they actually want. Like, I get it. If the whole thing breaks up, someone will find a home for Florida State and Clemson, right?
Yeah.
But they already have those markets. And I think the Big Ten does not have Florida, but it said it didn't want it. That's a far stretch. North Carolina is not a far stretch.
A far stretch for the Big Ten that goes from New Jersey to LA.
Well, I don't know. I just think North Carolina is an interesting one because I do think that
for the SEC, it doesn't piss off any of your current ones. South Carolina would be pissed if you bring in Clemson.
Texas A&M still pissed right now.
Right. And we've heard rumors about them going to the Big Ten potentially.
I know. You
and then if you bring in Florida State,
then hilarious.
Then Florida's pissed. But the SEC might not care. I mean, they didn't care to piss off A&M. So.
Yeah, but I think North Carolina they've always valued. Always valued. It's a growing state, so man, it's got me thinking that it's the ACC is not going to make it, dude. Right? It's not. It's
starting to look a little less likely.
I always thought they could if the teams that left was gradual, because then you have time to bring in other teams.
Well, at least you got those three, but
if it's not gradual, then you have a problem. Then it's like the Pac-12.
I was listening to John Wilner's podcast, and he was talking that if the powers that leave the ACC, if Florida State, and I don't even think he was thinking about North Carolina, I think it was Florida State and Clemson, that he thinks potentially Stanford and Cal might go
jump ship to
the Pac-2. To the Pac-2, and then they build again, right? And I don't know, like it's fascinating, but let me ask you this: do you think the ACC, the schools like Wake Forest, which by the way, you see Dave Clawson, you see what he was saying? He was lobbying for stop playing road games. They had group of fives.
Yeah, smart. Finally,
terrible for the sport though.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah,
especially now that we have a 12-team playoff.
I actually disagree that it's terrible for the sport. It's good for the sport if all the group of five or all the Power 5 teams are doing the same thing. So
no,
Even though, yes, it is better for the sport if there is a healthy mix between Power 5 or Power 4
I still want to
and
see,
Group
like
of
when
5.
Colorado's playing at Colorado State this year. I think it's awesome for
I
college
agree.
football.
That is awesome. But if the SEC is completely, not playing any of those games, and the ACC is playing a lot of games that they're going to lose against Group of 5 schools, that of course weakens the ACC, and then that strengthens the SEC and the Big Ten, and then we have the NFL, which ruins college football.
It's coming anyway, buddy.
Well,
the cat's out the barn. What do you say? The hay's out the barn. Bo's in the back.
You fight. Don't give up yet. Don't give up yet. Stranger things.
Let me ask you this though: do you think Wake and like BC and all those schools should accept a smaller rate and then just say, hey, North Carolina, Clemson, Miami, Florida State, you take a bigger portion of this? You already have SMU, Cal, and Stanford doing it for at least a few years.
Yeah. In the past, that has not been a recipe for success for conferences. But when you look at the alternative, they would probably make more money taking a smaller cut of the ACC than they would if the ACC completely dissolves, and who knows where they would.
Well,
end
and
up.
that's what I'm saying. You can renegotiate later, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I don't. If like, let's say, some of these schools got really good, like Pitt. All of a sudden, I've always thought Pitt's a sleeping fucking giant. If they got their shit together and became like top 10 every year, then you can sit at the table and say, hey, no.
Well,
I don't know.
That's essentially what needs to happen. And really, the teams that aren't there are two teams that aren't really threatening in the ACC that were supposed to make the league be able to compete with the likes of the SEC and the Big Ten that have fallen off and haven't pulled their weight, and that is Miami and Virginia Tech. Those are the teams that
Florida
need
State
to win.
Before last year's Florida State.
I mean, Florida State fell off, and that hurt a lot.
They won a national championship with Winston, but
true.
There's some down years in between.
BCS national championship.
But Virginia Tech never got back to their early 2000s level. They got close, but and maintained relatively close, but never hit that peak again. And Miami fell completely.
North Carolina's one that could fucking I don't understand it.
I don't trust that North Carolina will ever be any different than they always have been. A team with a lot of potential that manages to fuck it up. But Miami and Virginia Tech could shut Clemson and Florida State the fuck up by beating them and be playing against each other in the ACC championship and be like, hey, you guys are second fiddle. We're the big dogs. SEC and Big Ten. If you want anyone, come get us. And that would put the Clemson and Florida State back in their place.
Or Dabo could take a transfer. I don't know if you guys saw those numbers. Did you see those numbers?
That could help too.
Army, Air Force, Navy, and one other team out of all the 134 FBS teams. Clemson. Are the only teams to not take a transfer.
I mean, say what you want, but he's digging into this. So I think it's gonna be funny to see how it transpires.
Even Kirk Ferentz is like, let's go get some offensive firepower. All right. I also want to touch. I guess this is relevant too. Cal and Stanford took a smaller share for the first few years. SMU took none from the ACC contract, but how about Cal getting $10 million a year from UCLA? The Board of Regents for the UC schools met, and they threw the maximum amount of money at UCLA.
And so UCLA themselves has to pay Cal specifically $10 million
every single year. And this is the
reason. Is it UCLA broke anyway? I mean, I guess they won't be once they start getting those that Big Ten money. But
this is what John. Well, this is why I was listening to John Williams' podcast, was the fact that he was saying that if you actually add it up with their travel, it's like UCLA is going to be making with them giving Cal $10 million, every year. It's going to be somewhere around $42 million or something. And if they had just stayed and let USC go, they might have been able to get a high 30s number because the LA market, and you'd still be the Pac-12 would still be intact. Well, it wouldn't be USC, but you'd still have UCLA and everybody else. And you got to wonder where this leaves UCLA.
Their money would be similar if the Pac-12 still existed.
Yeah. I feel like all those California schools are at a deficit though. So Cal's got an extra $10 million. They're probably already $40 million in the red. And what's $10 million, right? It's nothing. But either way, it's something to note. Cal might not be as broke as you think coming into the ACC. Also, how about this news? The C-Dub and the Pac-2 made a deal. C-Dub is nationally televised. ACC Nick knows about that.
I think we mentioned this on the pod last week, right?
11 of the 13 home games between Oregon State and Washington State will be on the C-Dub. The other two will be on FS1. So every single game, a $25 million contract, so $12.5 million for each school.
And it's already so much better than the Pac-12 network. So there's that.
It's true. Actually, I do think there's something to that exposure. And I know it's $12.5 million. They were getting like 30, so it's a big cut there. But they got the $500 million, so for a few years, it's sustainable.
Yeah, you're right. They are getting more exposure now that the Pac-12 is
every single game is nationally televised. They moved that San Jose State Washington State game on September 20th to Friday night. I think they might move some more to Friday night.
Nice.
This is a win, in a way. I mean, I understand you'd rather be in the Pac-12, but at the same time, like I kind of like this deal, and I look, I'm on board with C-Dub. I'm gonna start watching other fucking shows now. All right, let's go. I like what this guy's doing.
Are they bringing back? What's that show you and G Hill used to watch?
We get Buffy the Vampire, Dawson's Creek. Yeah, we go all in, and what was the one with Alyssa Milano? Is that Buffy the Vampire? I don't fucking remember. Anyway, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. We were all watching
Dawson's Creek at James Vanderbeek, right?
Yeah, great. I saw him hammering at a bar here in Hollywood.
Is that right?
I don't want your life.
I don't. Yeah. Is it? What was the quarterback's name in?
Don't start
Friday Night Lights.
Man. No, it's not. It's Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
Which is what it's a bite off of. But anyway.
I thought that was pretty substantial. Let me ask you guys this question before we start this draft. Who would you say? You know, the top group of 5 gets the bid this year. I was thinking in my head, I'm like, wait, Liberty's probably going to go undefeated, but their strength of schedule is not that good because they don't play any Power 5s. Would you put Boise? And then my other question is, does Oregon State and Washington State fit into that now? I think they do.
Into the group of 5?
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be 5 anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, if they've already ruled out the Power 5,
they ruled out the Pac-12,
down to Power 4 status.
So
right, and they're still legitimately considered a conference. Are they really?
Yeah.
Then maybe one of those two.
Well, it makes me think that like Wazoo.
That's actually a huge point, right?
That's
there.
what I'm saying. Like if you're on TV, if you're nationally televised all year, and if I kind of think if you had to say where would you put Washington State? In Oregon State, I know Oregon State lost everybody, but Washington State like retained. I know they lost Cam Ward, but they still have their staff intact.
Well, I think they got to be in the top 10 teams in the G5 or G6 or whatever you want to call it now. Got to be top 10, right?
Yeah. I think so like to me, it's like, do you put Boise State above? I know they play this year, but Boise, like who would your top 5 be? I guess if you had to say. Odds wise to get that one spot. I off the top of my head, I would say like the first thought would be Boise.
Right? I would include Fresno. Those would be my 2 teams from the Mountain West.
But over Oregon State and Washington State because man, I kind of think Wazoo deserves to be in
both of those teams could easily just like based on where they were last year, especially Oregon State. If they're somehow
lost their whole team,
if they're somehow not impacted, which obviously would be a surprise. But if they can come anywhere close to what they were last year, then yes, they should be the favorite. Or on a very like a list of 2 or 3 teams. I guess Boise and Fresno would also be on that list.
And then maybe the winner of the American, so Memphis,
like Memphis
I guess,
or UTSA.
Yeah.
But I think like
possibly an App State or something.
See, but here's the thing: Washington State and Oregon State play a bunch of they play a bunch more Power 5s on their schedule. Like. Will that help their strength of schedule? So even if they have 2 losses, you know, like Oregon State plays what I think Cal, Oregon, and Purdue. Your typical group of 5 teams aren't going to play 3 Power 5s. So would that give them a you know?
It's probably
their advantage on getting that spot.
It's probably their best chance of making the playoff.
Even better than in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Tell me the P2 is going to have a conference championship game.
That would be great. They should do that. Just make more money. Fuck it. C-Dub. Give them 10 grand. All right.
Hey, we'll
let's
watch.
go.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, folks. Look, we're going to get to our draft now, but I want to tell you that you're listening to the College Football Experience, and we are part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And if you're looking for more ways to get paid watching hoops, check out the WNBA Gambling Podcast. It's back this week. Plus, I don't know if you know this, but every single podcast SGPN releases, all of them, every single podcast, all released in one place. Yes, just get on over there, smash the SGPN network feed, subscribe over there wherever you get your podcast, and remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. All right, we are back. Let's do this damn thing. Dude, what'd you guys think of this week? I thought it sucked, actually.
I think it's the worst one yet.
I think you guys are sleeping on some pretty good games that are out there.
Let me just tell you about. This is the one where I really feel like conference realignment hit college football. Out of all the weeks so far, this is the one. I mean, not realignment, but just like the amount of shitty power games. Right.
Well, I hope you're not going to refer to the one obvious
Alabama Vanderbilt, but that never happened every year.
No, that's not the game I'm talking about. I'm talking about realignment giving us a rematch of a pretty important game from last year.
I don't think it's that valuable this year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you still kind of have to.
It's
a
still
rematch of the national.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get to it.
Let's go. Let's go right here. I am on the clock. Had enough of you guys. You guys give me the shitty week, huh? You can't win. But here we go. Pick one. I am not going to that bullshit Patty C's talking about. I'm going to the battle of the who wants to get out of the ACC.
I like that one.
Just because Clemson, Florida State. I mean, Clemson should have won last year. They dominated the game, in my opinion, and they lost. Or I shouldn't say they dominated, but they were the better team. I think anyone watching the game would tell you Clemson was the better team. They just lost. Yep. It happens sometimes in football.
Yep.
And Florida State, they brought in a bunch of transfers from Bama, but they lost a ton of pieces. It's funny. People, I was talking with someone, and they're like, "Was Florida State your pick to make the playoff?" I'm like, "Not at all. Like, I mean, maybe, but they lost so many pieces. I can't just say that they're just going to be in the playoff." So I think this game's fascinating. You got Clemson with no transfers. Can that work? Patty C's favorite team now, and yeah, and that's, by the way, that's not a neutral site. I fucked that up. But Clemson at Florida State. They got a decent history of playing each other.
Decent.
Yeah.
A magnificent history of playing each other.
Really?
I think so. Dating back to the 80s, I think that was pretty heated back then. Prime time. And, throughout the history, obviously Florida State ascended to a level that Clemson couldn't quite keep up with.
This rivalry started though in 1970. It's not as historic as some of the other ones in the ACC.
Sure.
Yeah.
Not as long. I mean, obviously, but both of these teams were late addition. Was Clemson one of the original ACC members?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like Florida State obviously was a late addition. Yeah, I think both of these teams, like we say, have those SEC fan bases, those SEC stadiums, and it's often been for the Atlantic Division when these two teams play each other. This time, could this be a preview of the conference championship? We don't know, but let me tell you what I actually think about this. I think Clemson's going to be having a down year because they have a hard ass schedule. So, and the transfer thing, Dabo will either be fired this year or he'll be coach of the year. That's my prediction for Dabo Swinney this year.
Well, what else can you be? No, I'm joking.
8-4.
Nick, your thoughts of Florida State hosting Clemson and
first off, this game is in Tallahassee at Florida State, not
I
at
just
Clemson,
said that.
Jeff.
I just said my bad. I fucked that up. Yeah.
Well, I'm correcting Jeff in the chat. But yeah, this is my number one also. Clemson had won 7 in a row before last year. So they've dominated this series of late. And like you said, they were probably the better team last year as well. But no, I think the winner is most likely in the ACC championship game. It's possible that the loser might be as well. The ACC is pretty wide open this year, or at least as wide open as it's been in shit like 7 or 8 years probably.
Might even be longer. Probably since like Georgia Tech and Wake played in the ACC championship.
Maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
It's the best game of the week. I think if on a stronger week, it would probably still be like top 5. But especially this week where there's not much else, it's definitely number 1.
I actually think that's a hard exercise, is to go through and give me your top 6 teams in the ACC this year. It's a hard exercise.
Yeah,
it really is, because Virginia Tech's schedule is very favorable.
Yeah.
I kind of think Louisville's roster is better than Virginia Tech's.
Miami's stocked up on talent.
Miami's roster is incredible. I'll be honest, I think Miami has the best roster in the ACC, right? But that doesn't mean they're going to win the ACC. Yep. You got Florida State, Clemson still relevant.
Clemson's
NC State's rosters actually, if you were judging by rosters, I think NC State might be third. I think they have a better roster than Clemson.
And then Louisville's a kind of an X factor too.
You never know with Carolina or Pitt. Yeah. Those are just two wild cards. Like you just it's a strange conference this year.
Let me ask you this: does the DJU thing tickle your pick a little?
Oh, that's another angle. That's right.
Oh yeah, that is a fun angle that I didn't think about. It's a revenge spot. They chose. Yeah, that's great. That makes for great TV. But
I wish it was in Clemson.
Yeah,
that'd be better. But
DJU has got no problem getting some Saudi money. You know what I mean?
It's all green.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia State hosting Clemson. But no, anyway, that's my game. Who's pick 2? Is that you, Petty C?
I don't know.
No, you were.
I think so. I went first last week, right?
Yeah, Patty C.
All right, I'm going to take the low hanging fruit. Although by week 6, it probably may not be as obviously attractive as it was at the end of last year when it was the national championship game. Michigan this time has to travel to Seattle to play the Washington Huskies. Are these two very different teams than they were last year? Yes. However, is this a rematch of the national championship? Yes.
Fair.
So I'm going to play it.
All right.
Is this Colby? Is this the only time maybe where there's been a rematch where both coaches are gone, both quarterbacks are gone, both starting running backs are gone, both leading receivers are gone? It's crazy the turnover on both teams in just a couple months.
Well, and the fact they're playing in the first 6 weeks. Too.
How often is there a rematch in the national championship the next year? I feel like that's once every 15 or 20 years to start with. You know?
When Alabama and LSU played.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to play the game because of the angle from last season. But I don't know how good Washington's going to be. Or I mean, Michigan I think might still be good.
Yeah,
but with Washington,
I think Michigan would be good.
I was doing an exercise like going through Washington's schedule. And I'm like, I don't even know if they're definitely going to make a bowl. I think they could be like 5-7 or maybe 7.
Well,
5.
they've shown that level of volatility before. I feel like they've had some. Chris Peterson had them pretty amazing, and then they clunk out like a couple years later.
Yeah, with Jimmy Lake
to like 2 wins or something.
Yeah.
For like 12 to 2 wins in like 2 years. Could be wrong. I got to look back.
I mean, and I know they were supposed to play. Remember that the COVID year got canceled. So it's funny now. Now it's a conference game. Who could have seen that coming? But I mean, I will say this: that's historically a hard place to grab a dub. You know what I mean? Like it gets
at
loud.
UW.
Yeah.
At UW is a hard place to grab a dub.
Hello. Let me ask you this:
Michigan's got a 9-5 all-time series lead. They've been playing since the 1950s.
Very nice. I'm assuming most of those have been Rose Bowl matchups. We know that the SEC has had a hard time going out west. We probably don't have a huge sample size of the Big Ten going out west.
No, I know the Big Ten's never won in Tempe. They're like 0-17 in Tempe, or 0-14 in Tempe. Other than that, I'm not sure. I would imagine they did play. I mean, I know Washington lost in Ann Arbor in 2021.
See, this is my Colby claims that the Big Ten is enemy number 1 in college football, but he hasn't done the research of the Big Ten going out west and what their record is. However, he has done the research of the SEC going out west.
Well, because the SEC was regarded as the best conference.
And what that tells me is that you really hate the SEC more.
Big Ten is way worse. Big Ten is way worse. Like it's not even close to me.
Well, and Colby's only hated the Big Ten just recently with the most recent round of expansion.
They're the real conference to destroy college football.
Plus, they didn't want to play in 2020 either.
That's what I'm saying. They have, and they're always
when they skipped out on Ohio State.
All of them are little bitches. Like each school in a way, I feel like is little bitches. You know what I mean?
Michigan, you are a bitch for skipping out on Ohio State in 2020.
USC.
Let's put it out there.
I hate USC fans. When I meet USC fans, I feel like they're always little bitches, right? And then you go Northwestern. What they did to Pat Fitzgerald. Come on, I hate Northwestern fans. So yeah. SEC all day here. Team SEC all day. Team SEC all day.
Right, well, you're up on the clock, buddy.
No, Nick is.
Oh, Nick's up.
I am, and I'll take you to the SEC. There might be a better rivalry game in the SEC, but that's not the one I'm going to take. I'm going to take one which is really appealing to me because I think both these teams have a legitimate chance at making the college football playoff, and that is Missouri at Texas A&M.
Yeah, Big 12 game.
That's right.
Big 12 Nick showing up.
The two programs have come a long way.
Missouri at Texas A&M. These are the two schools we both love their schedules. So I actually think the winner of this will have an inside track of making the playoffs here.
I think Missouri is going to be undefeated coming into this game. They'll be 4-0, and they have a bye week before this. So obviously a tough
rattle
matchup.
Off their schedule. What do they got coming into this?
Well, I will pull it up. It's pretty easy. They have Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and Vanderbilt all at home.
Yep, they'll be undefeated.
Going to Kyle Field,
Buffalo might be their hardest game. Okay, and look, by the way, A&M leads the all-time series 9-7. They've been playing since 1957 when they first met in Columbia, Missouri. A&M beat them last time they played in 2021. They had not. This is what's hilarious. They were in the Big 12, and they joined the SEC, and they played the first year in the SEC, and they haven't played since. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Would you guys choose the other SEC game above this one?
There's a couple SEC. There's an SEC non-con game that catches my eye.
Oh yeah.
No, I think this would be the first one I chose because I truly believe that we should take futures. I'm gonna bet futures on both of them to make the 12-team playoff.
I need to take a closer look at A&M's schedule. Is it that favorable?
It's
A&M's just tougher.
A&M's is tougher, but it's A&M's better than Missouri.
So, I don't know about that. Missouri was 11-2 last year.
At the end of last year,
Ohio State did.
That's true.
What are you talking about? Don't fucking quote that.
I'm just putting it out there. The fact remains they beat Ohio State last year.
Okay, whatever you want to say. With 40 players out,
Colby hates Eli Drinkwitz because he came from NC State.
No, here's the real. The SEC East is weak, man. I mean, look, I understand Missouri put together a decent year last year, and I know A&M was 7-5 or something, right? But A&M's had big time recruiting classes that Elko's walking into, and when you look at Missouri's schedule last year, they went 11-2. But I watched them squeak by Middle Tennessee by 4. I watched them make a 64-yard field goal to beat Kansas State, right? They beat Memphis by 7.
They're a counterfeit 11-2.
They were also down
2.
3.
Yeah.
They were down 3 in the fourth quarter at Georgia last year. Also.
Yeah,
but they beat Florida, a 5-7 Florida team by 2. So I don't want to hear this shit that they turned some huge corner.
Luther Burden is the best player in college football that is coming back this year, in my humble opinion.
Clip that because that's a terrible take.
He's someone better. He was better than fucking half the receivers that went in the top 10 this year. Malik Neighbors.
Well, I think he's a great receiver.
Who else was
Roma Dunze?
I don't know. Keon Coleman was better than him.
No, he was not. You were out of your fucking mind.
I don't know.
Keon Coleman has great highlights and great athleticism, but Luther Burden is a fucking machine, right?
He's very good. But
he's the best player. He was the best receiver in college football last year.
Did you watch any Arizona football?
Him and only Neighbors.
Did you see McMillan for Arizona?
I didn't watch enough.
Oh, how funny!
Well, no, I saw him lighting up the stat sheets. But look, I can see a human being's body and understand how well that's going to translate to the NFL. He is a physical freak, and he gets open and he catches the ball, and no one can stop him.
Puka Nacua and being that good.
I actually did. I was way higher on Puka Nacua than ever. His name was never mentioned ever. I just liked his attitude while he was at BYU. And then, did I expect him to do that well in the NFL? No. But I can see that Luther Burden's freaking phenomenal. Anyway, does that make them?
Well,
does that make them?
What about McMillan for Arizona as a freshman? Or no, I think he was a sophomore. 90 catches, 1,400 yards.
Great numbers.
Yeah, Patty C. In the last 7 games of the season, Luther Burden only went over 100 yards once. I'm not trying to throw shade. He's very good.
And let me give you McMillan's final 4 games. Against Oklahoma, 10 for 160. Against Arizona State, 11 for 266 in a score.
That's a lot.
Against Utah, great defense. 8 for 116 and a score. Against Colorado, Travis Hunter and company, 9 for 107 and a score. Against UCLA, 4 for 81 and a score. So out of his final 5 games, 4 of the 5 were over 100 yards.
Well, maybe I need to watch a little more McMillan. But okay, I'll give the guy some credit. What I watched last year was between Odunze, who was very good, made some big plays, right? Beat Oregon at the last moment because he's clutch. Fucking Neighbors was phenomenal. I thought Burden was better than both of those dudes. Just by watching him play the game of football.
I would say Neighbors.
I think he's a stud. Yeah.
I mean, really, just like stats, like Neighbors, in 9 of the 12 regular season games, he was over 100 yards. And the games he didn't get over 100, he had 89, 87, and 67. Neighbors was definitely better.
Neighbors was nasty, and I feel like he had to share the rock a little more. Although
True.
I feel like Missouri had some a nice receiving core too.
They had the kid Weiss from Oklahoma who transferred in.
Yeah, but LSU had another receiver drafted in the first round in Brian Thomas.
Okay, well, all that said, right? Neighbors is gone. Odunze's gone. Maybe I'm overlooking McMillan, but of the receivers,
Marvin Harrison Jr.
He's gone. Right,
but they have. I mean, every single Ohio State wide receiver is incredible.
Yeah, let's just agree that Luther Burden's a hell of a football player. He's fun to watch.
It's a lot of conversation about Luther Burden here. Let's keep it going.
I like this game, and I do think it. Like I said, I think A&M with Elko, I trust a little bit more than Missouri, but I think you should grab a future on both because I do believe both. The winner of this game will probably be the team that gets into the 12-team playoff, in my opinion.
Gets that steals that 12 or 11.
One
seed.
of the 4 SEC teams that makes it.
And remember who Missouri's got after.
Who's that?
Back-to-back away, they go to UMass, to the McGurk.
That's tough.
Let's talk about that non-con for a second. Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College, and at UMass.
Missouri. Doing it right.
It's got to be the worst non-con.
Well, on that alone, I'm going to take Missouri to be ranked higher at the end of the year than Texas A&M.
Yeah, fair. All right, next up, it bounces back to Dundee. Look, I once went to a game at that horrible toaster oven bullshit stadium in Arizona where they have the Fiesta Bowl. Unfortunately, the Fiesta Bowl needs to move back to Sun Devil Stadium.
Agreed.
I went to a game. It was a bowl game where it was actually where Joe Burden.
He's in your head.
Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow got absolutely fucking clocked. UCF, who I actually think probably would have beat LSU that year. LSU the next year won the national championship, but they had Mackenzie Milton get injured the game before in the championship game.
And then who
it wasn't even the championship game. It was 2 games before.
2 games before.
And DJ Mack came in.
DJ Mack, who couldn't start at Old Dominion after that. Yeah.
He was actually I think 3rd on the depth chart at ODU.
Yeah. And they still kept it within
1 score.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 8-point game. And but you remember what that bowl game was LSU and UCF. You know what it should have been though, right?
That's
should have been UCF
that's what
Florida.
you're getting at.
Should have been UCF Florida in the
It
Peach
should have
Bowl.
been, but this is how corrupt college football is, and this is why it will drive me crazy nonstop as a sport. I love it, but I also hate it because the bowl committee, if you make sense of the way the shit was supposed to go, was supposed to be Florida and UCF. They avoided that shit. Now, a couple years later, they corrected it, and they did it again, and UCF beat the tar out of them. All right? So we got the very Golden Knights going into the swamp ass. And look, Florida's 2-1 all time. UCF gets a chance to even it up. Gus Malzahn, he brought in a Bama transfer this week. KJ Jefferson at the quarterback spot. I mean, I guess we favor Florida because it's the swamp, but I kind of think UCF's roster might be better.
John Rice Plumlee is gone.
KJ Jefferson, buddy.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. You just mentioned that.
KJ Jefferson better than John Rice Plumlee.
Probably, yeah, definitely. In that system, definitely too, because KJ Jefferson can still run.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hell of a game. Nick,
Malzahn had was he coached of fucking Cam Newton?
Yeah. No, was he? Why did I say that was Chiswick?
Well, Malzahn was his Chiswick's OC.
Okay, yeah.
So I feel like in that mold, Malzahn knows how to use a guy of that stature and that ability.
Nick, your thoughts on this one? Like I said, they played in 2021. UCF beat them 29-17 at Raymond James Stadium.
No, I do think it's a very fun game. I mean, even if both teams didn't have great records last year, I know Florida was 5-7 and Central Florida was either 6-6 or maybe 7-5. Yeah, so not great records last year, but throw that out. It's an in-state, battle. UCF, I mean, this can help really put them on the map if they aren't already. They haven't done well in Gainesville in the 2 matchups, but that was like in what 99 and 06. So I mean, a lot has changed.
They were in the MAC in 99.
Yeah, exactly. A lot has changed. So I think it's a fun matchup here. It was my number 4 of the week. So yeah, I agree.
Let me ask you this. Miami plays Florida week 1. Florida opens up with Miami is my point.
Yeah.
Let's say they lose that. They're 0-1. They beat Samford week 2. Week 3 they get Mike Elko and A&M. Let's say they lose that. They're 1-2. Then they're at Mississippi State. If he loses that, they're 1-3.
Does he even make it to this
That's
game?
what my point is the bye week is right before. They have 2 bye weeks this year. Every team does. But could this be the one that gets him fired, or will he be fired prior to?
We've seen Florida quit on their coach mid-season
a bunch of times
with Mullen.
No, not only with Mullen, it was at McElwain.
Oh yeah, maybe it was McElwain.
No, it was both.
It was both. Yeah.
I feel like it might have been Muschamp too.
I think both of those scenarios are very possible, Colby.
Yeah, I wonder if this is the Gus. Wouldn't it be great if UCF could own that and say Malzahn's the one that got their coach fired?
No, that'd be beautiful. I mean, that would probably do it. And the other thing about this is Florida State, Miami, and Florida have owned the state of Florida for what? 40 years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, longer than that, but have been national powerhouses for 40 years for most of the time. Now UCF is finally a Big 12 school, is finally a power conference school. There's finally a 4th team in the rotation. And if they come in day 1 and say, fuck you, you're out. We're number.
I actually think if you had to tell me like what's 10 of the wins all season that you want to see happen,
this is one of them.
This is one of them. This is one of them. Let's go Golden Knights. All right, look, before I get to Patty C's next pick, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by NYRA Bets. Bet the second jewel of the Triple Crown with NYRA Bets. Sign up today for a $200 deposit bonus with the promo code SGPN200. Join now to claim your $200 deposit bonus just in time for the Preakness at nyrabets.com/SGPN200. Get ready for nonstop action with NYRA Bets evening promotions too. Bet $50 each on Belmont at the Big A or any track with a first post at 6 p.m. Eastern on Friday for a $10 bonus, win or lose. Need more? You can earn a $15 bonus, win or lose, when you bet at least $75 each on Belmont at the Big A and Monmouth Park. Visit nyrabets.com to opt in and feed your competitive edge with live money handicapping contests nearly every week. Enter the Friday feeder contest to earn your entry into the next $300 contest. Plus, you can win cash prizes and seats into next week's contest with NYRA Bets. Registration closes before the Belmont at the Big A 3rd race post time on each day, or on the day of each contest, essentially. So what are you doing? Get in and get your bonuses at nyrabets.com/SGPN200. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here. And our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pickup game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and much, much more. Make entries of all basketball or mix and match across your favorite sports. You could win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter, and it's a ton of fun. Underdog's available in 30 different states, including California and Texas, and even the great country of Canada. So hop on over there. Underdog's, always kicking ass. So do that. Sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your first special pick plus first deposit bonus up to $250 in cash. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code TCE SGPN. All right. We are back. Patty C.
Well, I just had 2 minutes to look around, and it's been pretty tough to.
They're all like on the same level, right?
Yeah, I think there's one that I just pops above the others, and it is in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
I agree.
West Virginia travels to Oklahoma State in a game that has Big 12 championship implications potentially. A 9-4 West Virginia last year against a 10-4 Oklahoma State. Now, obviously, the home field advantage, the long trip favors the Cowboys, but the Mountaineers, can they go in there and get it done? How has that been? They've typically had a tough time on the road, right? West Virginia. I don't know, because I feel like they can't have struggled against everyone on the road.
Specifically with this matchup, I'm not sure. They did lose at Penn State last year, and they lost at Houston on that Hail Mary. But they won at UCF, they won at TCU, they won at Baylor last year, so they got 3 road wins last year.
Well, last year was their best year in a while. To Patty C's point, I want to say he's right about before last year they did struggle on the road. Most of their wins came at home. Is that accurate? Can we take a look at 2022 real quick?
Well, I can tell you this: in 2022, they won in Stillwater, 24-19.
Okay. So they had two of their 5 wins were on the road,
and they also won in Blacksburg, 33-10.
That's shameful.
Take that, ACC Nick. All right. No, I think that it's funny. Each week we do this. This I think is a reason why the Big 12 is hilarious this year. Is each week there's like a top 5 game because you're like this has championship implications.
Yeah.
And it might. We don't know the whole conference.
I mean, you're talking about a 9 and a 10 win team, and one of the teams being in the conference championship game last year.
You have to say that this one might have major implications on the race. They bring back Garrett Green, and Alan Bowman's back for his 75th year of college. So it's like you have both quarterbacks, both coaches returning, stability.
Not to mention, the game is probably going to be pretty damn competitive.
Yeah, Nick, I know you hate this one, but talk about it.
I might have had it down a couple more games, but I can't really say too much bad about it. I mean, you guys just kind of hit the highlights there. A 10-win team against a 9-win team. Both of them have the potential to win the conference or at least make a conference championship. So on those points alone, you can't argue with it, especially in a slate like this week. So I can't criticize it too much, actually.
Let me ask you this. Neil Brown building this thing, do you think he's got it rolling? Is he primed for a step forward again?
I actually think West Virginia's in this tricky spot where if he goes like 5-7, you might fire him.
Yeah.
But I also think
especially if Rich Rides has a great year at Jacksonville State.
But I also think if he wins 9 wins, I think he might leave for an SEC school.
Hey,
I'm serious. Like he was highly regarded at Troy. I think you look at his losses. He had a lot of close losses. I think if he has a good season, he could be South Carolina's next head coach.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
So it's a tricky spot there. But love the game played there. NC Nick.
It's about time we take a game that goes back a long ways.
To quote
How about
Colby D?
How about 1892? How about this is the 129th game? Auburn at Georgia.
Beautiful.
Granted, Georgia's won them all recently, especially the ones in Athens. Haven't been all that close, but come on, this is tradition here.
Yeah, I love the rivalry, but I do think this is the hard sell on it because if this is at Auburn, I'm in.
Yeah.
In Athens, I mean, look at that. They lost by 32 last time in Athens. Time before that, they lost by 21. Time before that, they lost by 17. Time before that, Auburn did catch them. That was before Kirby Smart, I believe. So they've got in the Kirby Smart era, he's whooped their ass in Athens.
Does it help that the week before Georgia is at Alabama?
It does.
It does tremendously.
It does. But I still think I was a little bit surprised that Auburn did not get more talent in the portal. Like they're still rolling the dice with Peyton Thorne. I was
especially
I thought that's what I'm saying. I thought they would go get Cam Ward, Will Howard. I thought they were going to go get someone who's decent. And I'm like, wait, they're okay with Peyton. Like they ran Peyton Thorne a lot too. It was weird.
They're going to run it back.
Yeah.
with Thorne.
And the other guy transferred to South Carolina. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. The other QB, Robbie Ashford.
Yeah.
So it's like, I actually think this could be a bloodbath, but I understand the for college football history's sake, which I dig. I love the game. The uniform matchup's great, but if you're telling
Georgia
me to set a line,
seems to be so far ahead of them.
I'm gonna lay like 24 against Auburn because I haven't seen Auburn really make a lot of strides. I thought in the offseason as much as I thought they would.
Well,
it's fair.
Let me say this: Hugh Freeze, historically, Lambeth. 2008, he was the head coach. 8-4, 12-1 the following year, 4-game jump. Arkansas State, he was there for
Lambeth.
1 year.
I'm sure some of these SEC schools played them.
That's true. Now, let me see here. I'm trying to find the rest because Ole Miss, Arkansas State, he was there for 1 year, 10-2. All of his stats at Ole Miss are 0 wins because of his scandals, but he did have
bullshit. I love how that in the SEC. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those stats matter. Get out of here. All right.
He went 0-4 in 2014, but finished number 17 in the nation. So makes sense to that. Either way, pretty good at Ole Miss. Liberty 8-5 year 1, 10-1 year 2. Okay, and then 6-7 Auburn year 1.
It's Georgia. If this is at LSU, I'm buying it. I'm buying what you're selling. At Georgia, they're gonna get fucked up.
I agree.
Yeah.
Georgia is too high of a mountain to climb, but maybe they can make it competitive.
Maybe. I like the uniform porn.
The uniform point.
Uniform porn.
Deep South.
If nothing else.
That's right. Beautiful to look at.
All right, I had enough of your cockanimi plays. All right. This one, I like. This needs to be a new rivalry. All right. If this is what we're stuck with, I want this. If we had a meter for scumbag meters, this game would be off the fucking meter, off the charts. SMU at Louisville. I think I enjoy both, like the administration, the boosters will stop at nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And
it sounds like it could have been a Conference USA game like 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like a Thursday night game.
It should have been. Well, when you think about them, like I actually think I can confuse them in my head. Like if I was just getting into college football and I learned that it's like both to Schnellenberger to Ron Meyer. It just seems like
Louisville gave up a basketball national championship due to sanctions.
That happened.
And
look,
SMU caught the death penalty.
Hey, NCAA, you're all full of shit. I don't think any of those stats should be deleted.
Hey, right? they just gave Reggie Bush his Heisman back, so maybe they'll give Louisville their national championship.
You're about 5 years away, Louisville.
Can Isaiah Ryder get another year at UNLV with Tarkanian? Look, this is one I think is a very fun game, just because I think both schools don't give a fuck. SMU does have a 2-0 lead. They played in 83 and 84, and Craig James and Eric Dickerson said, "Fuck you." All right. Glad to see it's back. I love how that's the only times they've played during that stretch when they were both scumbagging it up.
Give me a coach advantage.
Brian
Brom, and then what is it?
Rhett Lashley. Brom's got a huge advantage. Yeah.
The Papa John's State. Wait, now it's LNN Federal Credit Union.
It's
now
the
it's the
Shack.
Yeah.
I just find the game hilarious to me. It just seems like it's. You know what? They should be in the SEC. This should be an SEC game. It's just two dirtbag programs, and they'll do anything. They'll call presidents that didn't even go to their university to make fucking phone calls. You know what I mean? Like Papa John doing his fucking thing. Like they're just scumbag programs, and I like it. And I endorse. I like schools that put football first in front of everything in life.
An 11-win team. Yeah, I mean it's beautiful. This is like what is making the ACC roll in its grave more than anything is the fact that they're having to have these two schools in their.
They're not dead yet, though, Patty C.
Yeah. They're.
I want SMU. I want this to be. What if this is a preview of the ACC championship?
It very well could be.
I don't think SMU is going to sniff the championship, but it is a fun game.
Man, I'm telling you though, with this wacky 17-team conference, you might see some shit that.
Yeah, the balls could bounce.
You might see like SMU hosts Florida State the week before the Clemson game, right? The week before this week.
Look ahead
5.
spot.
Like if they were to somehow end up in some crazy tiebreaker where they beat Florida State in week 5.
Sure.
Because of these gigantic fucking conferences, you might have a
we
stupid
didn't expect
ACC
Louisville.
I did.
You did.
I did.
You saw you had the foresight. So if SMU and Louisville both find themselves, like you said, at the end of the year in that conversation, wouldn't surprise me.
Anyway,
Nick, you like this game?
Yeah, I do. It's a very fun matchup, and I like the way SMU starting their life in the ACC. They get the two teams that were in the ACC championship game last year at Florida State. I'm sorry, at home versus Florida State, and then at Louisville. So everything you mentioned, I mean, the two programs are kind of mirror images of each other. So it should be a fun one, and it should be meaningful too. Like I think all of us are kind of interested on how is SMU going to fare year one in the ACC. I don't think they'll be sniffing the championship. I think they'll be about 500 or so, but we'll see. It's wide open.
I mean, the gap between like like if you expect Florida State to regress, Louisville played in the championship game. How big was that gap between Louisville and SMU last year? Like I think Louisville was better, but I don't think it was by that much.
Yeah,
I think Louisville was a lot better than SMU last year. I mean, Louisville also is a team that beat Notre Dame by double digits.
I understand, but they also almost lost a couple other games. I mean, like my point, they almost lost to Virginia. I know you bring that up every time. I just don't think it's that big of a gap.
I should, if we're talking about how quality of a team they actually are.
I'm just saying the ACC is going to be wild. All right.
Yeah, it's a fun game.
All right, Patty C, it goes back to you.
All right. Well, again, I'm going to go to a game that would be more fun if it was being played at the other team's home stadium, but unfortunately it is not. We are going to the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio, where the Hawkeyes of Iowa will travel to play the Buckeyes of Ohio State. 10-4 versus 11-2.
This didn't even, and I love Iowa. You know this. This didn't make my top 30.
Well, here's the thing.
They haven't won in Columbus since '91.
Iowa returns their quarterback.
No, he transferred.
Wait, he transferred.
Deacon Hill transferred.
Yeah. Oh, that actually is probably a good thing.
They got McNamara, and they got the kid from Northwestern.
Oh, they're bringing back McNamara
and the kid from Northwestern that started some games. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now.
Okay, well, either way, assuming McNamara can stay healthy, they're going to lose against Ohio State, but the new quarterback situation at Ohio State makes it a little bit interesting. Maybe they're still
only once
figuring it out.
So they haven't won in Columbus since '91, and they've played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times since then. Only once was it within 7 points.
Okay, I'm just saying they're two good teams. I acknowledge.
If this is in Iowa City, I think it's a top 5 game. In Columbus, I didn't have this on my top 30.
I mean, I guess it's similar to Auburn, Georgia, except for it's not as good of a rivalry. They don't play every year. But you're right. If it was at Iowa, then it's top 10, maybe even top 5. For me, I had it in the 20s.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just trying to. I don't see a lot of other heaters. Colby talks about how this week kind of sucks. I agree.
It does suck. Yeah.
You're talking about two
That's
pretty
what I'm saying.
good
If
teams.
Auburn was hosting Georgia, if Iowa was hosting Ohio State, it changes the whole week's trajectory.
Yeah.
True.
But I mean, it's okay. I guess it deserves to be in the top 30. I just don't.
Jeez, top 30.
Well, I just don't think Iowa's going to be able to score. I think you're looking at it like a 35-3 type of game.
That's probably traditionally what this.
Last time was 54-10 in Columbus.
All right, whatever.
Nick, your thoughts on Iowa, Ohio State?
Yeah, I've already weighed in. It's a decent game. I had in the 20s. It's probably not going to be all that close.
Can you set the over under on Iowa punts?
7.5.
Oh, I'm all over the over.
Yeah, way on the over there.
Smash that fucking over.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, it's too early for weather to intervene on Iowa's behalf. Unfortunately,
how many punts do you think Iowa averages a game?
I want to see the last time they went into Columbus. How many punts they had?
Just pick a random game from last year. Is that in the box score?
It probably
Let me
is.
ask you this: what is Cade McNamara's all-time record against Ohio State? They skipped him in 2020, right? I think they got him in 2021 while he was the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
He's not afraid of the Buckeyes.
Wait, so I am.
No, you're right, Colby. Iowa punted 7 times against Michigan State last year. I just clicked on a random game.
You know what?
So,
I think only 5 last time they played at Ohio State. That was a couple years ago. And the offense had a little more firepower to
so
it.
Is 7.5 a good line?
I'll take the over. I'll tell you that.
I think you're right.
College experience. We're taking over underlines on the number of times Iowa punts against Ohio State.
They should offer that prop every fucking game. All right. Even Jeff Sharp in the chat, who's a Iowa fan, is saying at least 9. Okay? All right. NC Naked bounces over to you.
All right, we've established that the week kind of sucks, but the good thing is that we have 2 games on Thursday and 2 games on Friday, including Friday night. We do have a P4 game, which I believe our guy CFB Campus Tour will be at because
nice.
I don't know his schedule, but
I think you're right.
Thursday night he could be in El Paso and then drive, cross state Friday and be in Fort Worth for Houston at TCU. Weekday Nick in the house. If this game was on a Saturday, I think it would get lost. But the fact that it's Friday night, sign me up.
And the fact that they're dead even historically.
Really? What's the all-time series?
Dead even, 13-13.
Nice.
Surprised they haven't played more.
Which team historically would you say? Let's take out the last 15 years.
Houston went to the national championship in the 70s.
I don't know. I think that was not the national championship. I think that Montana went in the 78 season, and his senior year, I get that confused. I don't think Houston was in the national championship that year.
I just Googled it. And it comes up as the national championship.
Was it really?
1979 national championship.
Wait,
it's the Cotton Bowl, but.
And then Notre Dame was awarded the national championship. Montana's.
Back then, you'd have 3 bowl games that could decide the national championship.
That's true.
I guess whatever.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, yeah. If Houston was in the national championship at one point, as recently as in the last 50 years, that gives some clout to their program. TCU was in the last national championship 2 years ago. I'd say obviously recently TCU has been the better program, but all time, who would you have above, Houston or TCU?
I think he's got to go. I don't know. It's close.
TCU has Sammy Ball.
Because the Sammy Ball era, slinging Sammy Ball. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
pretty even matchup. And now that they're both in the Big 12, a fun matchup.
Wait, I think you're right though, because Alabama went undefeated that year. It's weird though. You type in national championship and you get, I think you might be right. Anyway, I love this game. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Back then you look at 5 bowl games and there's national championship.
Oh, yeah.
So
when you dig in the history, it's man, none of this shit makes sense.
Timothy Green saying TCU will win this game hands down. See, I think differently. I think
TCU won last year 36-13.
And they didn't have Willie Fritz coaching Houston.
But I think that Houston also. That was actually TCU's only road win of the season last year.
I was thinking about this, man, because college football always changes. I know people think it doesn't change, but it actually does a lot. Obviously, as you're seeing with the realignment, and the Big 12's done a good job with their coaching hires for the most part. Now, when you look at it, I was thinking about the Big 12 coaching hires because Mac and them, the Big 12 experience, ranked their Big 12 coaches subscribed to the Big 12 experience, and I was like, wait, you got Whittingham, you got Leipold, you got Kleiman, you got Gundy, you got some Matt Campbell. Those are all really good football coaches. And then I'm like, you add Willie Fritz to that mix, Gus Malzahn, you got a lot of good football coaches.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder that can they, if they can keep those coaches there, which is a big if, and then because I kind of think that they'll be successful there. I think Fritz is a great hire. I think he's a very good coach. So I actually think Houston. I'm gonna say Houston gets him.
Wow.
Fritz reminds me of Leipold in terms of not having a super gimmick offense that jumps off the screen or some gimmick about him. He's just a good coach that's going to improve the quality of his team. Yeah, if Houston jumps up going into Fort Worth, I don't know. That's a bold statement, but you think he's a much better coach than Sonny Dykes?
I'm not a big. I mean, look, I like Sonny Dykes as a human being, but I just don't think he's a great. I'm not in on him being the answer at TCU. I think he caught lightning in a bottle and caught Gary Patterson's players.
It wouldn't stun me. Do we anticipate both of these teams will improve and be bowling this year potentially?
I think they're both be bowl teams. I mean, it's tough for the Big 12. It's hard to.
I don't know about that. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, if so, not much above 6-6 or 7-5.
Friday night, Houston or Texas football. Friday night lights.
Say no more.
Yeah. Houston and Dallas. That's a great city rivalry.
It is fun.
Which rivalry? Which city's better, Houston or Dallas?
Dallas.
Nick,
I've never been to either. Are you talking like football wise or where would I rather go?
No, football wise.
The cooler reputation as a city.
Dallas. I think Houston's reputation is pretty bad.
Yeah.
I have no desire to go to Houston.
Yeah, sure. Paul Wall's not doing it for you.
UGK. But I like that matchup. And see Nick played a good one there. All right. Bounces back to old Pick Dundee here. And okay. There's a couple games that I really like out there. I talked about one that I'm hoping to be a new rivalry, right? I really am hoping that it's a new rivalry. But there's a game that I enjoy, and I have been pissed off at the SEC for not having this game played more of late. Tennessee and Arkansas should play every fucking year. I don't care what anyone says.
Why?
Is that a border battle?
They've been It is a border battle.
Nice.
And they've been playing since 1907. It's just a cool thing. I feel like Tennessee and Arkansas, I understand Knoxville's on the other side of the state, but I enjoy Tennessee, Arkansas playing each other. Like their fan bases are great. And
There's a lot of twang in that game.
I just like it. I like it. I like, honestly, I remember like Clint Stroner and shit back in the day. And I remember watching a couple games because back then they would play each other pretty much. I know Arkansas was in the Southwest Conference prior, but I just think it should happen every year. I'm just going to go ahead and say.
I mean, I guess an Arkansas fan might eat the raccoon hat off of Tennessee's head.
And how about this, GBO Farms? Arkansas has won 3 straight and 4 of 5 against these Vols, and you got to go into Fayetteville. Remember that fan in the college? You were just talking about this, Nick, the college baseball game.
Yeah,
I think it was a year ago, where the fan picked up a
possum,
a possum or a raccoon, chugged a beer, held it up, chugged a beer while he held it up, and later that night checked himself into the emergency room with rabies. That was great. That was great, but this is a scary game for Tennessee, I think. And I guess if you're Arkansas, how long's the leash for pulled pork Pittman? Because Arkansas does play at Oklahoma State. I think it is week 2, and I think he'll still be there at this point.
It's
6 weeks in, I think he's fine.
Pretty pivotal game in his tenure.
This could be a huge game for it because I expect Arkansas Pine Bluff's horrible in the FCS. That's a win. The Stillwater game, who knows?
Where's that being played?
In Stillwater. Yeah. Okay. The UAB and Trent Dilford looked awful last year. I'm assuming that's a win. At Auburn, and then the Southwest Classic at Jerry's World. So actually the bye week's next week. This is the game. This is the game he's got to win.
Yeah.
He wins this. He finishes the year.
Yeah.
He loses this. They can him.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll can him going into that bye week if you can't get it done, especially if they have 4 losses at this point.
But in a way, I almost want him to can him. I mean, I love pulled pork Pittman. But I'm hoping that the interim coach will be Bobby Petrino.
Yeah, we all win if that happens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And looking at the other side, I mean, through 5 games, I think it's going to be interesting to see what Tennessee's record is because they have NC State on a neutral site and they have roadies at Oklahoma and at Arkansas.
Well, this is at Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. This is their 5th game of the season. So I'm saying, after this game, what's their record? Are they 3-2? Are they 4-1? Are they 2-3?
I think they probably lose in Norman, but I would say 3-1 heading into Arkansas 3-1.
And then what happens there?
Bobby Petrino. I'm not going to fade Bobby Petrino at home
so
at the scene of the crime. Are you kidding me?
So you have him at 3-2. That's that's kind of a hole to start SEC play.
Let's go.
I mean, shoot. Tennessee has potential against this schedule to have a special year just by getting, I don't know, Alabama and Georgia both on the schedule is pretty tough.
I think it's a hard schedule.
They get Alabama at home, right? They get Florida at home. It is a hard schedule. If they go 9-3 against the schedule, they might sneak into the playoffs. 10-2 and they're in. This is a big game.
You think Tennessee is hard?
Tennessee's not going 10-2 this year. No way.
I think Arkansas's schedule is harder than Tennessee's.
Well, it could be. I mean, we have to go back and look at our schedule ranking. But all I know is that
Tennessee's been okay for the past couple of years. Hello.
Well, I know that, but they have at Oklahoma, at Arkansas, at Georgia.
They were also in the SEC East, Patty C. There's no more East.
That's true.
Bama at home.
Alabama.
At Oklahoma. At Arkansas.
Yeah, we already mentioned that one.
It's tricky. It's got some spots.
I will say there is like five gimme wins pretty much.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that schedule's that challenging.
Yeah, let me say this.
Chattanooga, Kent State.
They lose at Oklahoma and at Georgia. They could get NC State in Charlotte.
I expect them to.
They could get Florida in Knoxville.
Yes,
they should.
I expect them to.
They could upset Alabama.
No, that's the one
at home.
They could.
And
Alabama's
starting a whole new thing there.
They could get Kentucky and Mississippi State. Like Kentucky, Mississippi State's a great draw to get to Knoxville.
Both at home.
They got UTEP late in the year in that classic rivalry, and then they're at Vanderbilt.
Dude, they're
at
going to be
zone.
either 9-3 or 10-2.
No
that's
way.
why this game's
I think
huge.
they have a 9-3 ceiling. They're not going to get to 10-2.
Maybe you're
Write it.
I think. Yeah. All right. Look, before I get to Patty C's next pick, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. Yes, the MLB, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on Game Time's app actually go down closer to, as it gets closer to first pitch, with killer deals on killer last minute deals and all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So what are you doing, folks? Take the guesswork out of buying those tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that redeeming code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create that account, redeeming code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Patty C, you are on the clock.
All right. We're just gonna stay in the realm of teams that were pretty good last year that could be relevant again this year. I don't know. You know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go to Beamer Magic here. Ole Miss has to go to South Carolina. This is the type of game that Beamer has been able to.
It's too early in the year, though.
That's true, potentially, but
he ends his season strong. He sucks in the beginning of the year, but maybe
but when the pressure is on for him to impress,
Ole Miss has a 9-8 all-time lead.
Yeah, I would think this is
tie it up.
A decent series. Ole Miss
Toddy.
For a long time, what was their their motto? We might not win the football game, but we always win the party, right? They have not been a successful football program forever. Lane Kiffin has changed that, but South Carolina, I feel like South Carolina is probably the better program than Ole Miss traditionally. I don't know, maybe pretty similar, but having to go on the road, even as stacked as Ole Miss is, they need to be careful. I think
Williams Bryce is always rocking.
That's right. 2001 Space Odyssey.
Gamecocks are coming off of a bye too. I think this is a big game for Shane Beamer. I think he needs this one, and I think it's obtainable too.
This would be a signature Beamer Magic moment.
Well, I personally don't think he's going to make it through the season, but this is I will say that you're right. This is one you circle because South Carolina opens with ODU. I think they win. I think they're dogs against Kentucky. I think they probably lose to LSU. You get Akron, you're 2-2. This is a pivotal game because after Ole Miss is Bama and Oklahoma back-to-back road games. So I think he's gonna personally. This is it. If they win this, I think he might be able to salvage the season.
If they can get Kentucky and go 3, and where's that LSU game? Is that in Williams-Brice too?
Yeah, week 3. Yeah.
And then where's the Kentucky game?
At Kentucky.
Ooh, they're probably gonna lose both of those.
Yeah. And they still got A&M, Missouri, and Clemson on the schedule.
He probably doesn't make it throughout the season anyway, but he's going to be focused on this one.
Who's the next head coach of South Carolina? Jimbo Fisher. That's that. If Arkansas fires Pittman, and they don't go with Petrino, my first option would be Petrino. But my second, can you imagine Arkansas with a head coach named Jimbo and the rivalry against A&M that they play every year?
Yeah.
Come on, let's do it. Who does South Carolina go for, Nick?
That's a good question.
Could that be Rich Rod?
Jamie Chadwell.
They could go Jamie Chadwell.
You guys love Rich Rod rumors. You guys think he's going to land this P4 job? Nobody gave him a phone call this offseason. I do think he's a good coach. I agree, but just to think he's going to land a job in the SEC.
You ready for this?
Up those breaks.
You ready for this? Clemson has a good year.
Dabo.
Lincoln Riley gets fired. Lincoln Riley lands the job. He goes to South Carolina and he hires his brother as the OC, right? Of Clemson, right?
Okay.
And you bring him in and it's the Riley brothers.
I like
down there in Columbia,
and that
South
rivalry
Carolina.
heats back
Yes.
up. I want one of those 10-minute brawls like they had that one year between South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Everyone
I've been watching this offseason. Like I watched a couple games from the 80s and 90s of South Carolina Clemson. Fucking awesome.
Beautiful.
I thought Colby for a second was going to say Dabo gets fired and then gets hired by South Carolina.
No. He's not going to get fired. What are you talking about? That Dabo owns Clemson.
Earlier, somebody on the show earlier said Dabo might get fired this year. Maybe it was Patty. I don't know.
No.
I don't think so either.
Anyway, wait, where are we at right now? Ole Miss, South Carolina. Nick,
we're
your
number
thoughts?
12.
You like this game?
I do. I think it's I mean, again, the fact that it's at South Carolina, I think, the dog has a chance here, so I think it should be a pretty good game.
A lot of talk about Ole Miss being a playoff team and a solid playoff pick for a lot of people.
Never like Ole Miss is like they're kind of Kentucky of the SEC West, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But their schedule's incredible this year, man. You want to talk about if you want to add a third future to make the playoffs?
These are the kind of games you got to get through if you're Ole Miss.
How about this non-con? Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern.
Dog shit. They're playing to win. All right, let's keep it moving.
Yeah. NC Nick, you're on the clock.
Say what you want, but let me take it to the ACC. And with the hype train going full steam, Miami is going to be an interesting team to watch this year. And I really do think, and say some of these people are right. Say Miami actually starts the season pretty good. Say they're undefeated. Say they're 5-0 coming into this game. If so, I have Cal beating Miami.
Dude, first off, Cal, I believe is 2-0 against Miami. Well, at least according to Cal's website. Since 1964, they're 2-0 against Miami.
If Miami can win at Florida and then beat Virginia Tech, and they're 5-0 traveling all the way out to California, I just think it's a prime spot for a home dog. Especially because at that point everybody will be singing Miami's praises. They're back, favorite to win the ACC, and they're going to drop this game.
Yeah, and do I bring up the fact that the Pac-12 is 30-9 against the ACC since the year 2000? Is Cal going to win the Pac-12?
Is this
the ACC?
They very well could. I mean, they're probably going to go undefeated at home. I love this because California and Florida are two of the top 3 recruiting states in the nation, and they have the sexiness of the coastlines with them. So you got Texas, which is always there as a recruiting juggernaut, but it's in Middle America.
I gotta say, I don't love this, but I enjoy the fact that Miami this is a sneaky game for them. I do see I could see Cal beating them.
Let me build it more. Cal is coming off a bye, and within their first 4 games, they play at Auburn, at Florida State, and versus San Diego State. So there's a good chance Cal already has 2 losses coming into this game, which means if it is 5-0 Miami against 2-2 Cal, I mean, nobody's going to see this coming, and it's going to be like a 14-point spread, and I'm going to jump all over Cal.
I might be a money line play.
Yeah, especially Miami coming off the national spotlight Friday night game against probably both teams undefeated Virginia Tech Miami rivalry game the previous week. Maybe it's let down central for Miami.
Yeah. I like the play. I think. Look, I can't say that I love them playing each other, but I do like the play. If that makes sense. Like I could see this being a sneaky spot for the Canes.
Florida. It's your Sunny Delight Bowl.
There you go, Sunny Delight, folks. If you're listening to this on the audio side, go get a Sunny Delight. I don't know if you're on YouTube. Go get a Sunny Delight because give us 5 seconds and we're gonna end the audio side of this and then jump over to the B side. But if you're on YouTube, like I said, stay put. We're gonna just take a little break here. You're listening to the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience. This is the B side, but things get loose.
Hey, hot take, guys. Hot take. Sunny D shit. I never liked Sunny D.
Disagree. You have
never liked it.
Lower your
Tang
expectations.
or Sunny D? What do you do?
Ooh.
Well,
They're
Sunny
the
D,
same
at least you don't have to mix. So it's less work.
That's true. Yeah. Sunny D.
I miss mixed drinks like that.
Yeah.
Now it's just vodka.
Big old thing of Lipton tea powder.
Oh yeah. That thing will get you through a lot of things, man.
I don't know. There's something demoralizing and degrading about having to pour that shit powder into a glass of water.
Kids don't have this today, I don't think, where you would go to a friend's house and they just rip up a Kool-Aid packet, throw it in water, and then in their fridge they'd have a blue ass fucking pitcher.
The Kool-Aid pitcher.
Yeah. They don't have that anymore. Do they?
I don't think so.
America
we don't
is
have
not the country it once was.
They figured sugar's got something to do with cancer and shit. I don't know.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. I don't know. Look, this game, it's my pick. And when I think about great football action, I think about this game. And I don't want to hear shit from NC Nick. All right.
Oh shit. Big 12 game loading.
No, but we're going to Big 12 state. We're going to Colorado Springs, where the Navy midshipmen are heading in to Falcon Stadium to take on the Air Force Falcons. Brian Newberry, I'm going to go ahead and say this is a pressure year for him. Talked all that shit, laid a dud in year one at Navy. I think if he doesn't get it done, he might be out of Annapolis. And Troy Calhoun, look, I know he's won 4 straight against Navy. And this is a heated rivalry. They've been playing every year since 1960, right? But I feel like Calhoun's teams that can trip him are Army or Navy, because there's always like a 3-point game. You know what I mean? So Air Force, we talked about group of 5 teams that could make wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be fucking awesome? If Air Force was the team to make the playoff in year one. They were close last year. They won 10 games. Right?
They beat my Dukes, and let me tell you this: if any team was going to beat my Dukes in the postseason, I'm glad it was the Service Academy. I can't even be mad. You know, it's like America beat us. Okay.
Honestly, I know you guys mentioned we did this exercise at the beginning of the part A of that, where we said what group of 5 team. You can't tell me Air Force shouldn't be mentioned in right along the top 5, right?
Yeah, they were freaking awesome till Larry
the past
got
2 or 3
hurt
years.
last year. Yeah. And over the past few years, now what's in the stud running backs? But they've had Brad Edwards, or no, was it Brad
Roberts?
Left 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and then last year was
they lost John Lee Eldridge on the Niners. Yeah,
are they going to be able to reload? I feel like that's kind of what they do.
Well,
though.
I know.
John Lee Eldridge got like 6 carries a game last year.
But he had like 100 yards on those.
True. Yeah. It was mind boggling why they didn't feed him the ball
Troy
more.
Calhoun, what are you doing? You're too good, son. And he had 1 year of college left too, and he came out early. Son, you're too good. Why don't you go play for the Niners? They might give you the ball a little more than here.
That's right.
Patty, see your thoughts on Air Force Navy?
Of course.
Yeah.
Now you've mentioned this a bunch of times before. We think this should be on what, Veterans Day?
No, Thanksgiving or Veterans Day. Here's my thing. Okay, all of them play each other.
Yeah.
So you do Army Navy. Where you keep Army Navy where it is.
If they're not going to move Army Navy to Thanksgiving, yes, I agree. One of these games. If they're not going to
move that, because I don't think they're going to move.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they are.
Then here's what you do: you do Veterans Day every Veterans Day
is one of the President's Cup games,
and then Thanksgiving morning before the Lions game, is Army Air Force.
It's beautiful, or Navy Air Force,
or Navy Air Force. You switch them. You can switch them each year.
Switch them up.
Come on.
Fucking America.
I should be commissioner of college football. Nick, I know you hate this game, but your thoughts?
Look, I'm very pro the United States of America. I have the American flag flying out front, but I'm not pro triple option on triple option football.
I'm going to burn that flag down, you piece of shit.
Is this still triple option on triple option football?
Yes.
I mean, obviously Air Force was supposedly, bamboozled Colby into thinking they were going to get away from the triple option.
That was more so Army.
Okay, maybe.
Calhoun still said he was going to do it, but he just said his team wasn't any good. Just like this year, our team's not any good.
Oh, if I wanted to watch this game, I would just go up to the local high school and watch it for $10. Okay, I'm not very interested. I won't watch it. I'll be watching better games.
I'd like to see your high school enter.
No high school is running a triple option anymore.
They could win 10 games in the Mountain West. I don't think so. I don't even think Duke could. All right.
I'm not saying they're as good as this, but I could watch the same game.
I'm just saying if Duke put Air Force on the schedule, they'd lose every fucking time. All right.
You
put
bite
that in your pipe
tongue.
and smoke it. All right.
Bite your tongue, Nick Dan.
Duke. Who's had more wins the last couple of years, Duke or Colorado?
Air Force beats Colorado. They just swept Colorado. My point.
Well, you threw Duke under the bus, so I'm throwing Colorado under the bus.
What are you talking? They're catching strays here, right? Duke sucks.
Duke was catching strays by you.
Duke's going to be in the Conference USA for football in 5 years.
What the fuck are you guys talking about? No one knows. Okay, here we go. Let's dial it in.
Yeah, that's my play.
I'm on the clock, huh?
And Jeff Sharp says, thanks, Nick. Boring ass football. Jeff Sharp, you're an Iowa fan. What the fuck are you talking about? All right. This is
This
Air
is like-
Force's offense is way more exotic than anything Iowa's done. in
Iowa
fucking
should be so lucky
since fucking Marv Cook
to
all right?
have a triple option offense. No, honestly. MAC championship game rematch. Miami, Ohio against Toledo.
Great game.
That's where we're going here to the Glass Bowl. A great venue. 11-3 last year versus 11-3.
This is going to be the MAC championship again, I think.
Probably a preview of the MAC championship if we had to guess.
And it goes back to 1936.
Maybe one of these teams has a special season in them and has that once every 10, 15 years MAC gets the New Year's 6 group of 5 bid. Now only this time it's a fucking playoff bid. Maybe it has that kind of potential.
Did you see that kid turn down Alabama and a bunch of other schools to go play at Toledo?
I did see that. You sent that to me.
Yeah.
Interesting little trend there. Maybe playtime.
Quarterback, yeah.
Yeah, is more valuable.
Well, and then you have
ever.
the Toledo corner that went in the first round that Nick Saban ratted on himself and said, "Yeah, we tried to get this guy completely tampered.
Yeah,
we tried to get this guy.
this
Yeah, we were cheating. We were cheating and breaking the rules. Only we could get away with it because we're Alabama. We tried to get him to enter the portal, but he didn't want the portal. All right, and then my wife said, "These kids are all about money." All right.
Can't believe it.
Miami, Ohio leads the all-time series by 6. They've been playing since 1936. See, look, college football is changing, and no matter what Patty C says, the MAC still stays the fucking same, and that's why.
Well, not true, Colby, because
they get UMass. But
well, and also there's no longer divisions. So I think we brought it up last week, and we weren't sure. It is confirmed. There's no longer divisions in the MAC, which means the Sun Belt, I think, is the only one that still has divisions. So, I mean, these two teams could still make the MAC championship, but it won't be East versus West like it was last year.
Okay,
or in the past.
but I do think they're the top 2 teams.
What's Patty laughing at?
Just a Miami, Ohio joke.
Hey, the problem with your graphics is that you guys are so small on my screen now. I can't pick up facial expressions.
I think the Oregon Duck was in studio just a second ago.
Okay, I gotcha.
Oh boy, yeah. Look, Miami, Ohio, Toledo.
Patty C, I think you played this a little too soon, though.
All right, maybe.
What?
All right.
This is a good
Let's
game.
Keep it moving.
This is a good
keep
game,
it moving.
man. All right, NC, they can bounce back to you.
But at the same time, I think there's definitely a drop off now because there's not a whole lot out there, to be honest with you. So maybe I should retract that statement.
No, the Desert Bowl, man. What are you talking about?
Fuck your desert football. I shot that down last week. I'm not interested. You know what I am interested?
I went to the desert last weekend. It was fucking awesome. All right.
I'm interested in
I was
mountain
out
football. Mountain
Okay.
football.
What do you got for us, Nick?
If we're going G5,
He's going Sun Belt. He's going Sun Belt.
I'm going Sun Belt. I'm going G5 too. I'm going App State at Marshall. Great fucking game. Mountain football over desert football any day of the week.
I do love this game. This is one of the ones I was really excited about. Remember, Marshall was in like the CUSA a couple years ago, and when they talked about this, I was like, oh, because remember they used to be FCS rivals, right?
Yeah.
They call this the old Mountain Feud, and I just think it's perfect. I think JMU added to the mix too. Like part of what makes the Sun Belt, and it was funny. I was talking about this on the FCS
Appalachian
pod.
football, baby.
Well, part of like that, everyone thought like I was on a show and they were talking about this, and it's not like the Sun Belt. The Sun Belt before was ass. They figured it out though. You know, like Idaho used to be in the Sun Belt. New Mexico State used to be in the Sun Belt. And it made no sense. It was like basically Conference USA. But the fact they were able to go out and get Southern Miss and App State and the emergence of Coastal Carolina, and then you throw in JMU, it's in Marshall, it's fucking awesome. It's like that. That's what makes it so market. Like honestly,
Well, they decided to do what the other conferences weren't doing. The other conferences were looking at markets. Sun Belt decided we're not going to look at markets. We're going to look at tradition. We're going to look at culture. We're going to look at small town football. And that's what they've brought to the table. And it's in stark contrast to the Big Ten, who went after the DC market or the New York market, or LA market, so they went the other direction, and I love it.
Now I mean, I kind of root for them. I mean, them or the Mountain West is like probably my favorite fucking conference. I think.
Okay.
Them or the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Which one do you have? Do you have one that you like more?
Sunbelt or Mountain West? So
Yeah.
obviously I'm partial to the Sunbelt, but in terms of
What about 3 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, true. Probably Mountain West because I feel like they have a legit chance to maybe dethrone eventually the Power Four.
The Pac-2?
Pac-2.
I love this game. What do you think of this game, Patty C?
I think it's good. I think App State needs to be careful. I haven't looked at the surrounding schedule the weeks before or after.
They're
to see
at
if
Clemson, week 2, and
Yeah.
then their loss is at Greenville, week 3.
right.
And then Liberty week 4.
Woo!
Fun
God damn,
schedule,
that
man.
schedule's
They do
I-
have. Yeah, this could be a bit of a letdown spot for App State if they make it through that stretch somehow unscathed.
Oh,
But
yeah.
probably not going to happen either way. Marshall's a tough place to play. Yeah, mountain football.
What is that time distance from Boone to Huntington? I feel like it's not as far as you think.
I guess 3 or 4 hours at least.
I'm putting it into this thing right now. Yeah, I mean, I love this.
You got to
game.
travel over the mountains. I wonder if they take a flight.
Damn, it's 4 hours.
Wonder if they take a
4
flight.
hours and 47 minutes.
Look, traveling over those mountains could be taxing on the soul.
You would think
no,
there'd
it's
be,
fucking beautiful.
Okay, yeah, maybe App State comes in completely charged.
The problem is there's no direct way to get there. You have to go way around. That's why it's like that. If it was direct, it'd be like 2 hours and a half.
Well, let's talk about the actual football game.
It's awesome.
Fucking App State. What are we doing?
Nate Noel went to Mizzou.
Quarterback position. They got
Aguilar's back.
Aguilar's back,
Yeah.
but you hated him for most of the year. No,
What?
no, you hated the.
Aguilar's good.
Who's the ECU quarterback?
This past year,
Yeah,
he's at Austin P now. Mason Garcia.
I'm confusing my Latino.
Oh my God.
Sunbelt quarterback.
He's getting
Or I guess
racist. He's
ECU
getting
is.
racist.
No, Marshall.
Aguilar's good. I like him.
Aguilar
I
is
never
good.
had any ill thoughts about him, with the exception to the ECU game. And yeah,
No, let's talk about that. The Latino football player is finally creeping into American culture.
it's inevitable. It's got to
gonna
happen.
happen.
I like this new league Hal Mummy is doing down in Mexico and in America too.
That sounded fun.
That is
Yeah.
good. That's gonna be great.
No, the
Not sure
Cancun-
if I'd go to any games in person, but it sounds
They
fun to
gotta
watch.
get a team in Juarez. That's what they gotta get a team.
I
in
won't be
Juarez.
going to any of their games.
Tijuana and Juarez. Come on, let's go. That's a
Yeah.
great rivalry.
We should
it's a
go
great
to
future
a
rivalry.
Cancun game every year, though. Let's be honest.
Can their
right.
nickname just be the Cartel?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great
Let's go.
fucking nickname.
Let's go.
The air instead of Air Raid, the Air Cartel.
Nice.
Come on, that's fire.
The airdrop.
I love this game though, and I actually think this game might deserve to be higher played, Patty C. But you're gonna shit on it. You shit on it all day.
I'm not shitting on it. I think it's a good game.
Jumps back to Dundee. Yeah, I'm going to my desert matchup, man. I like desert football. It deserves to be played here, no matter what Nick says.
Oh,
this is a
good game,
future
too.
rivalry, and if you look at last year, this is two teams that were good teams last year. I know Texas Tech wasn't as good as what the preseason hopes were, but they were still there. They should have beat Oregon. They let them off the hook. You want to crown them, you crown them. But get this: Arizona's 5-26 all time. They've been playing since 1932. 2 ties.
Texas Tech has been whooping that ass.
But Arizona won the last matchup of 2019 with Kevin Sumlin, 28-14. Oh no, was that Fish? That might have been Fish. No, that was Sumlin. I love this game. Like I said, I'm really milking this desert rivalry. I'm excited about Arizona State and Texas Tech, and Arizona and Texas Tech, and New Mexico and Arizona.
Yeah, it's something that just hasn't happened. So
That's what I'm saying.
let's fucking dive in on it.
Patty C, your thoughts? You like it?
Oh,
You like
wait,
this game?
what's Texas Tech's returning quarterbacks? Did you? And now it's year what, 3 or 4 for
Shuck. Oh no, Shuck's at Louisville. It's Joey McGuire, year 3, I believe.
Shuck transferred out.
He's at Louisville, but Morton is back there.
Okay.
The guy that started a bunch of games because Shuck got injured every fucking year.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Arizona.
Does it really
Fafita-
matter who the Texas Tech quarterback is? Sorry to cut you off. It seems like it's the same person, different name every year.
Well, except that one guy who just happened to win like what 3 of the last 4 or 5 Super Bowls.
Billy Joe Tolliver?
Yes, Billy
No,
Joe Tolliver.
Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um,
Arizona, Fafita, but of course, Jed Fish is gone.
But I think they got better. I think Jed Fish leaving is a good
Washington,
thing. I think
yeah.
Brent Brennan's better than Jed Fish.
bold statement.
Love this
But
game.
hold on, but yeah, I mean Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback, but did he make Texas Tech great?
No, Mike
That's a
Leach
fair point.
and
You'd almost
And-
argue that those Texas Tech years were the same as any other Texas Tech
Well,
years.
no, they
right?
were worse. That was
Cliff-
Kingsbury. They
Cliff
were winning like 4
Kingsbury
games a season, giving up
As
70.
as a model. There's always someone special at the quarterback position.
It's true.
Who was the guy?
All
that,
their guys will at least play spring football.
yeah,
Like they've had like 20 good ever since Leach came in there. They used to have an option quarterback back in the day, but
Who was
Sebby
the-
Lethridge,
who was the quarterback that beat Texas in that one? Texas Tech.
Graham Harrell, I believe.
Graham Harrell.
Yeah.
What? He's a
He played in the NFL.
he's a coach somewhere now, right?
Yeah, he's an OC for Purdue, I think.
It is pretty crazy. So Mahomes' last year at Texas Tech, they went 5-7.
Yeah.
Do you recall the game against Oklahoma where he threw for 734 yards?
That's what I'm talking about. That
Probably
Cliff Kingsbury shit.
Probably should have been paying attention to that shit.
They lost 66-59.
Dude, some of those. What was that year? Didn't Bielema run for like 1,000 yards on him, but then he beat Bielema the next year and talk shit?
Not only did Mahomes do that, but he also ran for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns that game. And you know what? He played up against Baker Mayfield.
See, that's the problem with
Baker Mayfield was at Texas Tech before that.
That is the problem with the air raid is these amazing statistical moments just get lost. Yeah, get lost in the shuffle when we should be being like, okay, this is the greatest quarterback that ever played. It's like, no, it's just another day at Texas Tech.
Which is my point exactly. That who gives a shit who their quarterback is?
No, he'll
True.
be good. Like that quarterback, if Iowa could just go get one of their quarterbacks.
It's a totally different
there's-
system, though.
Still, man, all of those guys at least play. They play in the NFL. They don't start all of them, but I'm saying like they all make an NFL roster or at least play like professional ball somewhere.
No, Cade McNamara is the perfect guy for Iowa to get.
No, okay, maybe
Someone
not
who
Miami.
plays
what-
a little bit
how
of a
many
similar
teams
system.
have we seen that like they're missing a quarterback, and then like you look at Texas. Like I said, Texas Tech had Mahomes, Davis Webb, and Baker Mayfield all in the same
It
quarterback.
would be
room.
interesting to see how that
All three played
translates.
in the NFL.
But we saw Tanner Mordecai go to Wisconsin
It's true.
and shit the bed.
It's true.
Coming from what, SMU?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a little different.
The state of Texas does breed quarterbacks. I mean,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
It's a fun rivalry. I don't care what NC Nick says. The desert rivalry is coming to a football stadium near you. All right. All right. Before I get to Patty C's next pick, I want to tell you that you are listening to the College Football Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and maybe you still want to be looking to get paid for watching some hoops these days. Well, check out the WNBA podcast, the WNBA gambling podcast. That is, it's back this week. Plus, did you know that every single podcast SGPN releases are available all in one place? Yes, just smash the SGPN network feed wherever you listen to your podcast at. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride. All right, Patty C, you are on the clock.
Look, we are 16 picks in out of 30, and then a couple more for the FCS and what the fuck draft. And we are already at the absolute dog shit portion of this list. So I guess you guys are right. I'm gonna hit this rapid fire. We don't have to spend too much time on this. I guess I'm gonna hit it rapid fire. I'm looking around for a decent game. I don't see one. Let's go with the TMZ game. Fuck it. It's right there for the taking. UCLA traveling to Penn State. I know this this is an insult to your very soul.
Well,
Colby Dan.
I'm going to say Penn State minus 28 is going to be what the spread is.
Now, Chip Kelly
Is the offensive coordinator of Ohio State.
Yeah, so I don't know how
Carson Steele is in the NFL with the Chiefs, right? Dante Moore is now at Oregon. Kylan Schlee is now at Virginia Tech. Who the hell is still on this roster?
Do we have any? Now we've talked about how hard it is for teams to go out west. How does the the Pac-12 teams? How have they fared again when they've gone east? Usually, I mean, obviously the Pac-12 dominates the ACC.
Yeah,
wherever they play.
No, I know what Arizona State won at Michigan State with Herm Edwards. That's one, but I'm trying to think in my head. Like Cal won at North Carolina. Cal won at Ole Miss.
Cal won at Maryland, right?
Yeah, at Maryland, Cal won.
We're talking UCLA. Do they have any great East Coast type wins that come to mind. The UCLA Miami in the late 90s. What happened with that? Didn't that cost?
Was bullshit.
Was that in Miami?
Yeah, it was, and it was at the Orange Bowl, and the guy was completely down, and they didn't have a challenge, and they fumbled. Danny Farmer fumbled,
and it cost UCLA a national championship. Still 8-5 UCLA at 10-3 Penn State. Penn State brings back who's the fucking quarterback there?
The hype machine, the Ron Pallis. What's
his
name
again?
Yeah,
the 3-star that magically became a 5-star once he committed to Penn State.
Who did not look good last year whatsoever.
Drew
Allar.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, UCLA homeboy transferred out to Oregon, right?
Their whole team is gone, dude. Their entire team. That's why, like, UCLA's. I don't know what to expect from them this year.
Still, Los Angeles talent trumps
UCLA leads
talent.
the all-time series 4-2.
There you go. Say no more. You want to fuck up Penn State's season? Have the Bruins come into State College and steal a W.
They haven't played since '68, I don't think. But
wow.
Let me just make sure. Yeah, '68.
That kind of makes it intriguing.
Penn State won that one in '68, 21-6.
We all remember
Nick,
that one.
your thoughts on UCLA Penn State?
I mean, on the surface, like if you just say, like, say we're not looking at this year, you just say UCLA at Penn State, you're like, oh, that's a pretty cool game. But you look at this year, and I don't know how good UCLA is going to be. I'm not blaming you for playing it here, Patty, because like we were saying, man, this is a very weak week. So
back half of the slate, especially.
Yeah, not a great game this year, but who knows? Maybe it's decent.
All right. I mean, look, you got it deserves to be in the top 30 just because historically.
Are we so sure Penn State's going to be so great this year?
No, they're going to lose to West Virginia week 1.
Didn't they have the dynamite duo at running back last year? Are both of those coming back?
Singleton
is back, I believe. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
I forget which of the other guys.
They always got running backs.
They are good. They'll probably beat UCLA.
NC Nick, you're on the clock. Where are you going?
Well, you guys might not like it, but I'm about to load up on a bunch of ACC games. While they may lack some national appeal, these are, rooted in history. And like this one here, for example, goes back to 1895. They have played like 120 times or something. Wake Forest, NC State, 2 hours apart. You guys like history or what? Or do you want some Texas Tech versus Arizona has played 2 times in their existence?
History of a game that has been at any point both teams finished with more than 7 wins. Has that ever happened in the history of this rivalry?
What I love is that Wake Forest has actually played for an ACC championship, unlike those other, and they were in the harder division, right? Oh no, NC State was in their division too.
Yeah, both in the Atlantic.
But Wake went twice to the ACC championship, right?
Yeah,
twice.
If Wake could bounce back, then this does become an interesting game.
Was last year just an aberration? I mean, because Wake Forest has been pretty good lately, and so has NC State.
Yeah. Did college football catch up with the slow mesh, or was it 5,000 quarterbacks transferring
That's
out?
What I'm saying. Not only 5,000, like their best defensive players at Texas.
Yeah.
I'd say they didn't catch up to the slow mesh. I would say the transfer portal.
Kenneth Walker was like Doak Walker, award winner, right? Or in that.
Their other running back they had a running back go to Liberty.
Sam Hartman is a supermodel.
He's on the Redskins.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially like player development. Like Wake Forest has always prided itself on player development. They get a bunch of like 3 stars. They redshirt them year 1, and then once they're a junior and senior, that's when they produce. Unless they leave.
You know what would be funny is if NC State, they beat Western Carolina in the opener. They take down Tennessee and Charlotte in a close one. They get Louisiana Tech because they suck ass, and then they upset Clemson at Clemson.
Oh, the letdown spot.
And then beat Northern Illinois, and then you lose this game.
Here's the thing with this rivalry, though. With the exception of last year where NC State won at Winston-Salem, the home team usually always wins. The last time Wake won in Raleigh was 2006.
Damn.
Yep.
So Clawson's never done that.
Wake is probably the team that has the worst trouble with this transfer portal stuff because a guy like Dabo who doesn't get transfers in, he's still not. He starts true freshman.
This should be a weekday.
He
game.
gets big time 4 or 5 star recruits that can come in and contribute immediately. Wake Forest to compete needs to develop, and as soon as the guys show that they're any good, they're gone.
Yeah.
As a UVA basketball fan and Tony Bennett's approach being straight player development, it has been very difficult to navigate that.
Well, especially once you see all of them balling elsewhere. Like NC State had what's his name this year? Morsel.
Yeah, Morsel.
This is kind of hurting my point here, but so they won in 2006. Prior to that, 1984 was the last time they won. They've won in Raleigh 2 times in my life.
I think they're due though. 2024. No, they got another 4 or 5 years. I think.
Wake was really bad last year, but they have been very good in previous years.
They got Hank Bachmeier coming in.
Can they go into Carter Finley and get a W? I don't think so, but
they should put this on Thursday night. Do the right thing, college football, ACC, ESPN, whoever the fuck we're talking to. Put this game on Thursday night.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's correctly played. It's a rivalry.
Let's rock.
Let's go. It's going over to Dundee, and well, I think this game is somewhat. Let's make sure I'm not
Page
skipping over
here.
anything here. Yeah, I got this one here. So, you know, I like the future of this thing here. When I look at what makes a fun rivalry, you gotta have characters. All right.
Yeah.
And Biff Poggi is a character.
Please.
All right.
This is like
So when ECU and Biff Poggi snuck one past ECU last year, won 10-7 on some horse shit. ECU should have won this game. It's a revenge spot for the Pirates.
this is the Colby Dent Delusion Bowl here.
We're going into the clit, and we're gonna get that dub. All right. So
ECU at Charlotte. 2-10 versus 3-9. Somehow cracks the top 20 this week.
Hey, and what? TCU was 5-7, but went in the national championship the year before. Fuck you. All right.
Plug it. Plug it in.
Let's go.
I want to do a shotgun just for this game.
This is a great game, and both teams are better than James Madison in 2024.
Good
right.
God.
All right. NC Nick, your thoughts on a little East Carolina at the clit?
I do think there's a little bit of a battle between G5 North Carolina schools. And I think Biff Poggi is trying to plant a flag and saying we're the second best behind App State because they're definitely not better than App.
Well, no, he talked shit about App State last year. Remember that?
Well, he can talk all he fucking wants.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They play next year to open the season.
There you go. But the fact is, he is 1-0 against ECU. And I know ECU fans, I know the Purple Pride does not want to go 0-2 to Charlotte of all places.
Well, and I think the last time we were in Charlotte, we had a little win against those Virginia Tech Hokies.
Actually, last time you were in Charlotte, you might have lost to App State.
Oh, that's right. Damn it.
At this point, what is the more redneck school? ECU, which is a traditionally redneck school.
That's not a redneck
although
school. That's
Mike
a
Houston, a
drunken
JMU guy, classed them up a little bit. Or Charlotte, a commuter school that has a fucking billionaire fat ass
Jerry Richardson
sleeve cut shirt.
Charlotte's not very redneck. Granted, it's in the South, but it's in a big ass.
Fucking redneck,
you're talking Jerry Richardson.
No, I would say it's a good question. Playing at that stadium definitely gives them a little redneck cred, though. Let's be honest.
This game's great, Nick. This is a future ACC game. Are you happy about that?
I like the in-state showdown, my state, and I maybe some people don't know. Raleigh, the capital city, and Charlotte, the Queen City, have a little bit of a rivalry going as far as who's the top city in the state of North Carolina. So I would be happy if ECU could go in there and give Biff Poggi a taste of his own medicine.
Let me tell you about a guy that slept on a couch a lot in Greenville, North Carolina. Greenville, the people in Greenville know Greenville, G Vegas, to be the top city in the state of North Carolina. And they're going to prove it when they go into the Clit and win. All right, let's go. All right, folks. Look, I want to tell you before Patty C gets to his next pick that the college football experience is brought to you by NYRA Bets. Bet the second jewel of the Triple Crown with NYRA Bets. Sign up today for a $200 bonus. The promo code SGPN200. Join now to claim your $200 deposit bonus just in time for Preakness at nyrabets.com/SGPN200. Get ready for nonstop action with NYRA Bets evening promotions. Bet $50 each on Belmont at the Big A or any track with the first post of 6 p.m. Eastern. On Friday for a $10 bonus win or lose. Need more? Earn a $15 bonus win or lose when you bet $75 each on at Belmont at the Big A and Monmouth Park. Visit nyrabets.com to opt in. What are you doing, folks? All right. Registration closes before the Belmont at the Big A third race post time on the day of each race. So get in and get your bonuses at nyrabets.com/SGPN200. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NBA playoffs are here, and our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy, wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Play their pick'em game. It's as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, rebounds, assists, and much, much more. And you can make entries of all sports, or you can just go all in on basketball, whatever you want. All right, you can win up to 100 times the amount of money you enter. It's a ton of fun. So what are you doing, folks? Hop on over to Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first deposit offer of up to $200 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back on the college football experience. Week 6 draft. Patty C's on the clock, and
it's easy to see a tide turn.
Where you going, buddy?
Well. A couple of games out there. I feel like I need to lean into personal flavor here at this point because there is more or less nothing on the board. So that's what I'll do. We're going to cite a little history. I think the last time Virginia Tech was in a bowl game or in a New Year's Six bowl game was when they got stomped by Stanford in the 2010 or 12, I think, what was it? 2011 Orange Bowl against Stanford. That was Jim Harbaugh coached and Frank Beamer coached.
The one and only time they played 40-12.
Boy, you know who else beat Virginia Tech that year? James Madison. Just throwing that out there. The Virginia Tech ACC champions. So look, what makes this game compelling is that I anticipate Virginia Tech having a pretty strong start to the season if they can somehow beat Miami on a Friday night in the packed house that is
sneaky game too.
Miami Gardens.
Cal.
Yeah. Well, sure. If Virginia Tech is as good as everyone thinks they might be, then maybe they're undefeated or one loss coming into this game, and they have a long road trip to Stanford.
Are there any teams in the ACC that just air it out nonstop? Before the 3 teams came in, I know Cal doesn't. Yeah, I guess Wake does.
North Carolina was
maybe a little bit of Braum last year.
Yeah, still they don't pass it nearly as much as
Troy Taylor. Well, fuck, he's a former quarterback. He'll throw the ball 70 fucking times.
That's true. The contrast in styles may fuck with the ACC teams. Virginia Tech.
The Goo Goo Dolls performed at halftime of that Stanford Virginia Tech game. I know you still have that on DVD.
Yeah, dialed. That's the only part of the game I remember. No, Tyrod Taylor had an awesome play in that game, but Andrew Luck dominant. Look, Stanford would love to get back to that spot. So would Virginia Tech. I think Stanford's probably going in the right direction. Year 2 with Troy Taylor and Brent Pry. Well, how many wins off the top of your head? How many wins is Virginia Tech going to have this year?
Well, I don't think they're that good. Like, I think last year's record was a little deceiving, but I do think their schedule aligns great for them.
Give me the number.
8-4.
Yeah, I was gonna say 8-2.
Yeah.
Right. Well, maybe this could be a. I don't know if it's a.
I actually think this is one of their harder games because I just feel like it's sleepy. There's gonna be 6 people at this game. No one at Stanford's even heard of Virginia Tech. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna be like, "What? What's going on?" But NC Nick, what do you make of this one? ACC Nick, what do you make of this one?
I mean, it is similar to Miami Cal, and I played that like
but Cal
45 minutes ago.
Cal at least packs their stadium.
Yeah, I think. Well, the difference is I think Cal is better than Stanford right now, and I think the hype around Miami is a little bit more than the hype around Virginia Tech. Even though the Hokies are getting some hype too, so that's why the other game I think is more appealing. But this one's pretty good too. I mean, I guess I suppose
it's Miami Cal Junior is basically what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's well played. All right, NC Nick.
I mean, definitely some personal flavor here, but this ACC matchup has only been played 90 times. It only goes back to the 1930s. Duke, Georgia Tech. Both teams above 500 a year ago.
He's fucking crowbarring the
We're
shit
doing this
in here.
Both these teams are having.
Sucks.
Georgia Tech finished 4th in the conference, and nobody's talking about them.
Well, they got
year.
some bullshit wins. If Mario Cristobal knows how to down the ball.
7 and 6. Yeah, there's a reason no one's talking about it.
Now, I will say this: I was going down a rabbit hole watching college football games every day until the season starts, and I was watching Georgia Tech so I saw some Georgia Tech highlights from the Bobby Ross era, and then I was watching George O'Leary like in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah.
How did they fuck this up? They had a good thing going, and they had a great fan base. Like those places were lit, man.
Yeah.
At Paul Johnson era, they had it going, and it's like now I don't know.
Teams were as scumbag back then as they are now. Georgia Tech academic restrictions are a big factor for them, but they always have been. Why can't they? Why can't they get any athletes to come in there now? That's a good question.
What do you think of Duke, Georgia Tech, though?
It sucks. It's fucking terrible.
Well, you got a new coach at Duke. You
couldn't pay me enough money to watch a minute of this game.
This should be a Thursday night. Load up. Put all these games on Thursday. Put this on Friday, actually.
Patty's gonna watch Miami, Ohio, Toledo instead. Come on.
Honestly, if the ACC was smart, they would do this. They'd put Wake Forest. Hear me out. Hear me out here. Wake Forest, NC State Thursday, with the night doubleheader. Virginia Tech, Stanford after, and then on Friday, give us Duke, Georgia Tech with Miami Cal.
I like it.
Do a doubleheader Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday you can give us your Virginia Tech. You can give us Clemson, Florida State, and Pitt, North Carolina.
There should be a nice appetizer and a main course for at least 3 to 4 days a week.
How do they fuck this up?
Yeah.
TV execs,
Colby for commish.
That's what I'm saying. I got this figured out, guys. Sure, Georgia Tech, Duke. I guess it deserves to be played. I don't know. I think I can. I think I got a few Big 12 ones up my sleeve that are a little more appealing to me.
I don't think you have to work too hard.
Are your
on
Big
that
12 ones 2 teams above 500 last year? You know, also Georgia Tech whipped a Big 12 team in the bowl game.
It's true.
I got a more compelling game. I'm gonna play myself.
Well, it's my turn, so you put that on ice. Look, there's something about the desert. Kansas, Arizona State.
How many
really
times
getting
can we
into
harp on this fucking point?
They've been playing since the 60s. All right. And look, Jalen, I don't give a shit what Nick says about 2 winning teams. First off, all of Duke's roster is gone. All right. And who's the most
Murphy?
Did you say this was the most exciting player in college football was Luther Burden? I think it's Jalen Daniels. All right. And Jalen Daniels heading into the desert. I also thought that Arizona State kind of turned a corner a little bit. They got more competitive as the season went along, and I thought they did a good job in the portal. I think Kansas heading into Tempe Sun Devil Stadium night game. Put this on a Friday night too. Shit. Put all the games on this week. Put all the games on Thursday and Friday night.
No, you're right. This is a good game. Is Ken Dillingham going to have Arizona State any better than he did year one?
That's what I'm saying. I think he's got to, just off of the recruiting talent he's brought.
My website says these 2 teams have never played before.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Kansas State. My bad.
And you're trashing me against a game that played 90 times. And
I'm just saying.
Come on.
They got a real Heisman.
How often do you pop a cherry these days? Come on.
Never.
No homo. I guess that wouldn't be a homo. This is the college experience. Woo! All right.
How about them Cowboys?
No, yeah, you're right. It's Kansas State that's played since '64. They never played. How about that? This is a new desert game out there. But look, the fact is Lance
Diddy is what I meant. No Diddy.
Lance Leipold's offense, and I actually think Kansas is a contender. So they need to not. I just mentioned the Big Ten's never won in Tempe. Kansas, they might be a future Big Ten team. Patty C lobbies for it. Are they going to be 0-1 in Tempe? I think it's a good game. I think it's much more interesting.
Would this break your heart?
Georgia Tech.
Would this break your heart if your boys, Lance Leipold, Jaden Daniels, take the L?
No.
Arizona State went 3-9 last year, and their quarterback just transferred out. And this is a better game.
But he only started a couple games. If anything, he didn't end the season. He started.
Yeah, but he was like their only hope.
No, they brought in some QBs this year.
Who did they bring in?
The kid from Michigan State, started at Michigan State last year.
Oh man! Oh shit! Maybe they'll go bowling.
I think they brought in another guy too. They brought in a couple guys, man. They could go bowling. What the fuck are you talking about? Arizona State is a turnkey program, buddy.
Let me ask you this: Kansas. Do we have any anticipation that they could be a Big 12 contender?
Yes.
Yeah. They can.
Easily. I actually think I think the odds are they're number 3 right now.
How do you think Arizona State will fare year 1 in the Big 12? Do you think it's a much easier slate for them?
I do. I think there's a lot more winnable games. You look last year, they got their ass whooped the final 2 games, but they did upset Chip Kelly at the Rose Bowl here. And they got their ass whooped in Salt Lake City, but they got Washington State and UCLA down the stretch. They kept it within 1 score against Washington. They got hosed in that Washington game, who played in the national championship. Yeah. Do you remember that bullshit pass interference call?
No, I don't.
Oh my god, dude!
I'd be lying if I was saying I watched Washington, Arizona State last year.
That was an awesome game, and so Arizona State's about to score. There's a clear pass interference. They don't call it, right? Arizona State's they're about to win the game, like a minute left.
Yeah.
The very next play, Washington pick 6.
I will bet you right now, Colby, Arizona State does not go bowling. I know it's not a crazy take. They don't have 1 for sure win on their whole schedule.
But would you say that them against UCLA or Washington State was a for sure win last year?
No, they're going to win a couple. I mean, they're going to win some, but they don't have a for sure one.
Arizona State is definitely an interesting team as they move into the Big 12 because based on last year, but prior to last year and previous years, I feel like they've been relatively competitive, but especially last year, we think of Arizona State as a shitty team, but the Pac-12 was just so good last year. They come into the Big 12, maybe they're more competitive, maybe they're better in Kenny Dillingham's year 2. Are they a little bit of a dark horse under the radar?
No, not this year, but I do think like if they can get to a bowl, I wouldn't shock me if they won 6 games. But
it would shock me. I'll bet you right now, and I'll give you pretty good odds.
Well, no, I don't. I'm not saying that.
I'll bet you, Nick.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Nick.
All right. Fuck you. Your desert football.
Well, I'll say this, buddy. I think Kansas is a legit playoff contender. Can you imagine for the first 12-team playoff with the Kansas Jayhawks on board?
That would be phenomenal.
Kansas could win the Big 12, sure.
For sure. So I think that's got definitely. I mean, I don't think anyone's picking Duke or Georgia Tech to win the ACC. Better like next year.
Kansas is better than Duke and Georgia Tech, but Duke and Georgia Tech are better than Arizona State.
I don't know how well I feel about that statement. Yeah. Knowing the Pac-12's history against the ACC too, I don't feel.
But he's probably right. Duke and Georgia Tech are probably both better than Arizona State.
Who the fuck is Georgia Tech?
Yes.
Georgia Tech. Didn't they lose to Bowling Green last year?
Yes, but they also played Clemson and Georgia pretty close.
Arizona State was
the national champion. They kept. They almost beat the team that played in the national championship.
Even a blind dog finds a bone some days.
Arizona. I'll take Arizona State to beat Georgia Tech right now.
No way.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Brent Key bullshit out of here with Zach Taylor.
Because there's no fucking way to determine if that would happen or not.
Can't
win.
All right. Where are you going, Patterson?
Oh boy. You know where I'm going? I'm going to Minneapolis, Minnesota, where the USC Trojans will go to face
this game sucks.
Look,
it belongs to be played. It does.
Hey, I mean, fuck you guys, because listen to this. Let's forget about last year where they still went bowling 6-7. The 3 previous years Minnesota that had full years. Let's skip the COVID year, but 11-2, 9-4, 9-4. Let's just suspend our disbelief and think that PJ Fleck could have a bounce back year here. Maybe USC, who sucks last time I checked and doesn't have Caleb Williams, has major quarterback questions. Miller Moss looked like ass in the spring game, goes into Minneapolis,
look good in the bowl game,
takes a loss, did look good in the bowl game, and then fucking PJ Fleck. Maybe PJ Fleck takes the USC job after this game.
This game definitely deserves to be played. I just played Duke, Georgia Tech, and Colby just played Kansas, Arizona State, and we're throwing shade at USC, Minnesota.
I just find
That's
it boring.
not fair.
No, like Kansas, Arizona State, at least you're going to have like a high scoring game. Like, I don't know what the fuck to
Do
make
we
out of
really
this
think USC is going to go in and stomp Minnesota?
I think it's
on
a
the
tricky road trip.
If it was colder, I would believe.
What is the date
believe.
of week 6? Let's take a look at the
like October 10th.
Who's better, Minnesota or Arizona State? Colby loves Arizona State.
Minnesota was 5-7 last year. They made a bowl game at 5-7 and beat Bowling Green in the bowl game, so they're 6-7. Fuck off. Bowling Green beat Georgia Tech, Nick. All right.
October 5th. No.
Minnesota beat Bowling Green. Bowling Green beat Georgia Tech. All right. So that means I do believe Arizona State can beat Michigan. Or I'm sorry, Minnesota.
Well, can they beat them? Of course they can, but who's better?
I mean, I kind of think they're even. Maybe I'd lay 3 with Minnesota, I guess.
Right.
Not if it's in the desert. I'm taking Arizona State if it's in the desert. Yeah.
True.
October weather in Minneapolis. Daily high temperatures from 65 to 50 degrees, rarely falling below 36 or exceeding.
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
It's October 5th. I mean, it's not gonna be bad weather October 5th.
It's Minneapolis.
It's gonna be an ass whooping. Minnesota's gonna have to score 40. Lincoln Riley's going to score at least 35. How many times Minnesota score over 30 points?
Guys, the schedule sucks. I'm just trying my best.
I think you played a fine game, Patty.
Thank you.
I want to know, how many times do you think Minnesota scored over 30 last year?
I don't know.
Nick, if you had to guess, over
0?
30 points.
No. So they probably scored against like a MAC team or something. So I'll say twice.
Well, they played a MAC team in the championship, but they only scored 30. They won by 6 against Bowling Green in the bowl game. I'm sorry.
Twice.
Yeah, they scored 34 against Northwestern in a loss,
and they needed overtime.
Yeah, they needed.
Well, it was a down year for Minnesota.
They're gonna get fucked up, dude. What are we talking about here? And they got that bullshit win against Iowa. That bullshit win against Iowa. This team should have been 4-8 last year.
Sleeping on PJ Fleck.
All right, NC Nick.
All right, let's trade in ACC Nick for weekday Nick, and let's take you to another one of my favorite conferences, the
game.
Sun Belt. Texas State at Troy. Is there a changing of the guard in the Sun Belt West?
I do like this one. This one deserves to be played. Yeah. All right,
solid play.
This is I am more interested in watching this than USC Minnesota.
8-5 Texas State with GJ Kinney returning at the coaching spot,
and Troy is 13-1 against him.
Ooh, Troy 11-3, but fucking who's the coach that just left?
John Summerall.
John Summerall went to Alabama to take on
No. John Summerall went to Tulane.
John Summerall.
Kane Womack.
Okay,
left.
I get so fucking confused.
He's from South Alabama.
Yeah.
All right. John Summerall went to Tulane to take over the head coaching job.
Yes.
So who took over at Troy? Do we know
the guy from
Gerard.
Notre Dame. Yeah.
Oh,
Gerard,
the tight end coach from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Gerard Parker. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Maybe Texas State. Maybe GJ Kinney is ready.
I do think it's a dangerous one for these Troy Trojans.
Walk into old Troy, Alabama, and get
contrast in styles too. Like Texas State wants to put up 55. Troy wants to win 20-10.
Yeah, it's true.
I like it. I like it a lot. And okay.
Well played game. Who are you rooting for?
Texas State. These Lone Star Bears. Let's go.
Troy's a cool program. I have
cool.
nothing against Troy. I like a fucking defensive Southern stalwart, but Texas State is.
What about John Stallworth?
On the John Stallworth.
He's from Alabama.
Dante Stallworth.
True. Better receiver, Lynn Swan or John Stallworth.
Oh God, Lord, we don't have time for that debate right now.
Better driver, John Stallworth or Dante Stallworth? Okay. Next up, we got me. I got some fire. He tries hating on it, and you guys are going to try to talk shit about this game.
What do you got?
But I believe that this could have championship implications. Baylor heading into Ames to take on Iowa State. All right, this much more relevant than when's the last time Duke and Georgia Tech's been relevant? Baylor's been relevant. Iowa State was in the Big 12 championship game a couple years ago.
Georgia Tech's won a national championship in your lifetime.
Okay. Yeah, 1 out of 3 shares. All right.
Has Baylor or Iowa State even had a share?
Well, Baylor had Art Briles.
Baylor went to
they were on a path. Yeah.
Baylor went to the Big 12 championship. What, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Iowa State. What was their best season they've had on?
They went to the Big 12 championship 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, that alone should tell you that this is a decent play.
There we go. Thank you, Patty C. All right, NC Nick always tries to give it a hard time, but
I mean, granted, this game does belong to be played here, but it's a boring ass game that I don't.
This should be a Friday night game. Put this one on Friday too.
It on the surface is a boring ass game, but there's something a little bit compelling about both of these programs.
Well, how about Baylor only has a 2-game lead on them?
The head-to-head is an aspect, but I think just the fact that Baylor's athletic department has shown, and the boosters, that seems like a Texas private school powerhouse on the rise. And Iowa State, Matt Campbell he's Kirk Ferentz reborn.
Some might say with Dave Aranda on the hot seat, is Matt Campbell the next head coach of Baylor?
Maybe.
But also the difference in between this game and the ACC games is that my ACC games, there's like 90 matchups, 110 matchups. These guys have only played 22 times.
Okay, but those are all
started in the late 80s.
Yeah,
I'm saying the ACC games go back to the fucking 1800s.
Okay.
Yeah, the rivalry is not the selling point of this game. It is the.
Let me tell you something, buddy. Virginia Tech Stanford does not go back to the 1800s. Virginia Tech Stanford started in 2011.
I didn't play that game.
All right, Miami and Cal, SMU and Louisville did not go back that long.
Fair enough. But there's a lot of ACC games that do.
And look, are you gonna play that Syracuse UNLV game? That's a nice one too. Iowa State, Baylor. It's fun. He is going to play Baylor. He's going to play that UNLV game. Yeah. Big 12 Colby strikes again. Patty C, you're on the clock.
Oh, there is a lot of garbage left on this board.
Well, I know your Dukes better be very wary because General Booty's going to throw for 400 against your bum ass.
No. We're going to go down to Monroe, Louisiana, and hang a 60 on them.
You do have a weekday game with Rich Rod.
Yeah.
Wait, am I missing that one?
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not compelled by that game in the slightest.
Triple option against speed option?
We'll see what Kennesaw has to offer. Maybe you can play that one. I am going to go to Chapel Hill, where the Pittsburgh what the
Panthers.
Panthers. God, I'm 7 beers deep here. Are playing UNC. The Tar Heels. God, I'm just struggling to get out the fucking nicknames. Look, Pittsburgh, pretty good a couple years back. Are they gonna have a bounce back? North Carolina, obviously. Fucking homeboy on the
Pat Narduzzi, Mac Brown. What are we talking here?
Mac Brown.
You know what? I got this one.
Yeah, take over.
All right, Patty C's talking North Carolina, Pitt, and look, this is one of these rich rivalries Nick's talking about. It goes back to '74, so just like 14 years before.
Again, I didn't play it.
Yeah, but look, Carolina's got a 12-5 all-time lead.
ACC Coastal Showdown here.
Buddy, I'm gonna need you to go to the bathroom and just do la 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 la. But no, NC Nick, what do you think of this game?
This one is not as high as some of the other ones. Maybe because it doesn't have such a long history, but it's still. It's a solid game that belongs to be played around here, I suppose. I'm not going to try to paint
the ACC championship over the past few years.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look up ACC championship history and see how long it's been since both have played in it.
Of course,
fake slide.
But Colby, every ACC Coastal team has played in the championship game in a few years.
That's true. Everyone in the ACC except the bottom of the ACC, like NC State and Syracuse. Even Boston College made a fucking ACC championship game. That's hilarious. That's my favorite stat.
I guess it has been 6 and 8 years respectively since either of these
6 for Pitt? No.
for North Carolina.
Pitt? Oh, okay.
No, yeah. With Kenny
Wait.
Pickett.
Am I? No. I'm looking at this wrong.
Yes, you are.
It's been 2 and 3 years
I was about
ago.
to say, what are we talking about?
It's literally the exact same thing as Iowa State and Baylor.
Yeah.
Except I think both these teams are better. So Pittsburgh, North Carolina.
Good point.
Pitt won 2 games last year. All right.
How many did Baylor win?
I think 4.
No, I think they won 3.
Did they win 3? Still better than Pitt, right?
Yeah, Baylor no, they were both 3 and 9 last year.
Yeah.
And North Carolina
Same exact game. There you go.
North Carolina was 8 and 5, and Iowa State was 7 and 6. So I did play the better game than you did.
Iowa State had 70 players suspended for a gambling probe.
Game. All right.
All right. NC Nick, where are you taking us?
No, it's weekday, Nick. So Thursday night, I got the Texas State Troy game on one TV, and I got Sam Houston UTEP on the other.
Desert football, baby. That's what I'm talking about. NC Nick's coming around at the Sun Bowl. I love this game. Sam Houston State, UTEP.
We got the new head coach at UTEP. We want to see how he does. Sam Houston is going to be better in year 2. They were a better team than their record indicated a year ago.
I agree with that.
I was about to play this game. I was going to take it with my very next pick.
And Colby, the news you forgot to mention to begin the show was Missouri State. I like what the Conference USA is doing. I like the additions. I'm a fan.
They're taking a page from the Sun Belt, aren't they?
Kinda.
Yeah, let's go. I love this game, and I will watch this game. I'm excited to watch this. The Sun Bowl is the best stadium. It looks the coolest, and yeah, this game's awesome. If this was at Sam Houston, it would not be as cool. But
is there any beef between like El Paso and Houston?
They fucking hate Houston.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Because I spent a week in El Paso doing stand up.
And they fucking hate Houston.
They don't like the rest of Texas much.
Really?
Yeah.
They're their own little thing down there.
I mean, look, I'm just going to set up CFB campus tour, Michael Barker's schedule this week, because he's going to be at Sam Houston UTEP Thursday. Like I said earlier, he's going to be at Houston TCU Friday. Then he's going to be at Missouri A&M Saturday. It's a beautiful weekend of Texas football.
That is fire.
That's a lot.
That is fire. Love this game being played, Sam Houston and UTEP. Now I wonder how far does this go back? Just last year, or did they actually play? I feel like they might have played some of these outings back in the day.
So my website only shows FBS. I don't know. I mean, obviously Sam Houston's only played 1 year, so I don't know.
Okay, well I see they've played twice since 2003. All right. And UTEP is 2-0. 2-0 against Sam Houston State.
Watch out.
Yeah. Anyway, I like that. I think it's played correctly. All right, it goes back to Dundee, and we are gonna have some more fun. This should be a weeknight game. We're going to Corvallis, Colorado State at Oregon State. It's just fun, uniform matchups. Look, I kind of think Colorado State's gonna be a bowl team this year. Oregon State, I like the coaching hire, but I don't know what to expect from them. But their schedule is going to be a lot easier because they're not playing Washington and Oregon and USC and shit. But I think this game is compelling. I'm hoping the C-Dub moves this to Friday night. Let me see about their history here. I think Colorado State beat the shit out of them 1 year when they had it was a week 0 game a few years back when Gary Anderson was the head coach of Oregon State. And I think Colorado State dropped like 50 on them. But Patty C, what do you make of Colorado State at Oregon State?
Look, I don't know a lot about Trent Bray, but I do know that Jay Norvella is a proven commodity, and it's been a forward march over the past couple of years for him. So I think these are two ships probably passing. Will Colorado State catch them in Corvallis? I don't know. That's a big ask. Colorado State 5-7 last year. Oregon State 8-5. Still, Jay Norvella is a quality enough coach that he could get it done. So this does become an interesting game here.
Nick, your thoughts?
I like it. It's a fun game. My fear is that it might be on too late for us East Coasters, but I like it. You're right, though. I mean, a weekday game would be better.
Night, I think it could end up being a Friday night game when I think about it.
It's still, if it starts at like 10 p.m. Eastern time or 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, yes, it's too late. Got kids waking up at like 6 a.m. Okay.
What do you really value in life, buddy? Right?
My kids or Colorado State versus Oregon State. I don't know.
Right. That's an easy decision for me. White Tiger agrees. Patty C, where you going?
I'm gonna look.
How many more picks do we have?
Yeah, is this
I'm
the
on
second
my
to
last
last one?
Yeah, I'm on my second to last one, and then obviously we have FCS and what the fuck.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna skip over UVA Boston College, even though it was a phenomenal game and involved a Hail Mary last year.
It did?
I think at halftime.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go to a game that I think should be, or I would have hoped was a Pac-12 game. It is a Mountain West game. Hawaii at San Diego State in the Snapper.
Ooh, it's a fun little rivalry. I know you've been milking this one here.
I always just like it, you know. I like teams that
they've been playing since 1939, believe it or not. So don't let Nick ruin your fucking
they've
thing
been
here.
playing since 1939, like regularly. Sorry,
You're
regularly.
getting on my level. How many drinks have you had?
Or like have they played like 10 times and the first one just happens to be in 1939?
No, they've played about almost 40 times.
Okay, solid.
Yeah, but they've played every year since 2012.
Well, I'm just wondering.
Went.
San Jose State doesn't have a natural rivalry, geographically speaking. UCLA and USC are obviously paired up in Southern California. San Diego State's sitting there all alone as a beach town. Hawaii's out in the middle of the fucking Pacific Ocean. These two teams should be rivals.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Let's go. Nick, it seems like you don't like this one.
And look,
I mean,
you got the
not really.
Warriors and the Aztecs.
Yeah,
There's
it
that
is
kind of
something
like
cool about it. The
old
tribal.
school-
They
yeah,
both have like
tribal
the,
aspect. Yeah.
Nick hates it, huh?
I mean, I'm just not gonna watch it, to be honest with you. There's just too many games on, even on a weak slate.
Well,
I'm
you'll
not
be
knocking the
asleep.
game. I'm playing comparable games. I'm just saying, for me, regionality is not Hawaii at San Diego State.
You're an uncultured swine.
All right, second to last pick for you.
All right, it's my turn.
This is the
Well,
last pick of the.
No, second to last. All
I
right.
think this is
No,
the
this
last
is
one,
it.
right?
This
Yeah,
is
this
it.
is it, right?
Okay.
Thank God.
All right.
Jeez, there's not much left. Dude, I want to take you to the last weekday game. Friday night, Houston TCU is going to be on one TV. Jacksonville State, Kennesaw is going to be on the other. I'm curious as to how Kennesaw is going to do this year. They might end up with a similar record as Sam Houston did last year, which was not good. But I'm curious as to what they can do moving forward. And let's see if Jacksonville State can repeat their success and see if Rich Rod can get back to a potential Conference USA championship.
Well, check this out. Kennesaw State's 3-1 all time against Jacksonville State, but Rich Rod is 1-0 against them because he won an overtime game in 2022, 35-28. The 3 games before that, though, Kennesaw 31-6, Kennesaw 60-52, and Kennesaw 17-7. Let's go. I like it. I like
Ryan
it.
Bohannon, still the coach of Kennesaw.
I believe so.
He has been there for a long time. Look, starting in 2017, Kennesaw at the FCS level, Big South Conference, 12-2, 11-2, 11-3. COVID year 4-1 and 11-2. Now they moved to the ASUN 5-6, and then they go independent 3-6.
I think they arrested a bunch of guys though because
Maybe they were just beating up on shit competition.
To the FBS, yeah.
But either way, they, like you said, have been beating.
Well,
Jacksonville
he was
State.
on Paul Johnson's staff at Georgia Tech and Navy and Georgia Southern.
That's it begs an interesting question. Triple option versus spread option. What do you prefer?
Triple.
Nick?
Spread. I just want to disagree with Colby this show.
I know.
I'm not going to take a horse in this race. It is an interesting stylistic matchup. It should be a fun one.
Yeah. Surprised Boise didn't get the Utah State Boise game didn't get any love. Surprised at that. Not surprised that Purdue, Wisconsin.
Wait, who's Boise playing?
Utah State.
Yeah, it's a good game.
I feel like if it was at Utah State, it should be played, but at Boise.
Boston College, Virginia didn't get played. Indiana, Northwestern, Purdue, Wisconsin. These elite Big Ten matchups. Alabama, Vanderbilt in the SEC. Rutgers, Nebraska didn't get played.
I wanted to play that one. I think that could be fun, but not really.
Syracuse, UNLV. All Michigan State, Oregon didn't make the cut. Michigan
Shit ass game.
Yeah, what's funny is that I don't think we
Oregon.
purposely have done this, but we've been hating on the Big Ten games.
Well, they suck, dude.
No, they kind of do.
They all suck. Honestly.
Michigan State going to Oregon will not be competitive. They have no history against each other. There's nothing compelling about that.
Yeah, like I said, other than Michigan, Washington, is there another good Big Ten game this weekend?
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if you go back to the last couple of weeks, like, we only have maybe like one
the
top 10
games
Big
are
Ten
boring
game.
as fuck.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Like UCLA, Penn State, snooze fest. Iowa, Ohio State, snooze fest. USC, Minnesota, snooze fest. Rutgers, Nebraska, snooze fest. Indiana, Northwestern, snooze fest. Purdue, Wisconsin. I find that one actually the most appealing, but it's still a snooze fest.
Well, the style of football probably doesn't help that much either.
Well, I mean, you could argue that Purdue and Wisconsin have been in Big Ten championship games, kind of like the same thing.
Well, that's why I think that's the best game of them.
Yeah.
That's the best game of them. That's if
I don't want to watch that, but I'm a Big Ten West hater, so that makes sense.
It's probably the second best Big Ten game of the week. But anyway, all right. Look, it's time for our Lou Holtz What the Fuck game of the week. Patty, or actually no, it's me first. I will take you to the likes. Well, I can't do. I'm gonna take you to Army at Tulsa. Look,
that's boring as shit.
Well, I don't get the rain man cold, but you're counting down 765.
Army at Tulsa is your FCS game of the week.
No, my Lou Holtz What the Fuck game of the week. Look, I like Army joining a conference. They're in the American. They're America, but this is the one game way out of the way.
Empty ass stadium. Yeah.
H.A. Chapman is a classic stadium, but I don't know. I was watching a Tulsa game the other day from like '94. They used to have fucking fire fans, man, but I guess they were winning a lot back then. Anyway, it's a shitty game. It's my nominee for my Lou Holtz What the Fuck game of the week. Patty C, you are on the clock. Where are you going?
Well, I don't get the rain man cold, but they're counting down 765.
I mean, I guess the game has to. No, I'll just go Syracuse at UNLV. I mean, whatever. Fuck it. Let's
dome on dome action.
Yeah. Let's not talk about it. It sucks.
But Dave Clawson's right. Well, if you're Syracuse, why do this game?
Yeah.
You can lose this.
Vanderbilt lost it last year.
Take the random L for no reason.
Yeah, it does suck. NC Nick?
Well, I don't get the rain man cold, but
what's one of the other things that I hate?
Northeast football.
Temple, UConn, complete total snooze fest that nobody gives a shit about.
If it was at the link, it would be so much worse. But since it's there, and Jim Moore is going to have that crowd pumped up, they'll probably do a ceremony to honor the basketball team.
Yeah.
Patty, see your thoughts on Temple, UConn?
UConn definitely living in the shadow.
This is a Big East game.
Apparently, I hate the Northeast and the Southwest
and desert football.
Well, the Southwest is desert football, right?
Yeah. Nick has his preferences geographically for some reason. No, but he's right. This game sucks ass, and you guys are both right. All right.
All right. Now we get to our
FCS games.
And look, my top FCS game. There, I put a couple on the screen here. There is some intriguing games, like some battles within, but I'm going to the Friday night game because I'm going to watch every snap. New Hampshire going to Harvard. Yes, Harvard keeps a good football program. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Harvard grad. New Hampshire's a good team in the CAA. They've been, what's his name? Has been. I'm drawing a blank on the coach's name right now. I want to say Callahan, but I think it's Monmouth. But they've kept a good program, and
Harvard 8-2, New Hampshire 6, only 6-5 last year.
I know it was a down year for New Hampshire. They're normally good. They normally make the playoffs. So very often. Friday night, it's 3 games on Friday night. So
yeah,
I'm watching every snap of that. New Hampshire at Harvard. Nick, your thoughts?
Hey, I mean, weekday Nick approves.
It's in the Northeast, though, buddy. This is Northeast. You like Northeast FCS? I saw you at Main Stadium, you piece of shit.
The Northeast of all,
I do like it on the FCS level. It's true.
The Northeast has shown great restraint in terms of diving into the money aspect of college football. The Ivy League maybe being very proud about their scruples, even though they're fucking shitbags. New Hampshire at Harvard. Okay.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Your FCS game?
I don't know.
You're going North Dakota State.
That's where I am going. Yeah.
I knew you were going to play that one.
I mean, it's right there for you to take. Obviously, North Dakota State, the dominant program, and the fact that they're at home, maybe this isn't that compelling of a game, but it is a rivalry game. So we're going to go with North Dakota at North Dakota State.
I like it. Nick, your thoughts on North Dakota State?
Look,
playoff teams.
The Dakotas, that is FCS football. So sign me up.
Tell me you're going to Johnson City on yours, Nick.
Actually, I was. You kind of convinced me to do a little Northeast action.
Oh, where are you going?
Delaware, the Blue Hens, their last year in the FCS, they're playing a team where they've kind of fallen on hard times. But just a couple of years ago, Tony Muskett was slinging the rock for Monmouth.
It's true.
If they can come back and find the right guy under the helm at quarterback, maybe they can find some of that success they had a couple of years ago when they were in the playoffs.
You don't just go into Jersey and get a dub.
No, you don't.
Long Branch, New Jersey. West Long Branch, New Jersey. Monmouth, the Hawks.
Delaware at Monmouth.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like that game, but I will still say that you guys passed on East Tennessee State Chattanooga. They call that the rail rivalry. They've been playing for a long fucking time.
I went off the board.
You did go off the board.
Holy Cross, Cornell.
Fun. You like Ithaca, right?
Do like Ithaca. What was the movie with
Road Trip?
Road Trip.
There you go.
Tom Green.
You know what? You do remind me of Horatio Sands.
Yeah. It's not my proudest comparison, but I'll take it.
Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. I'm on Twitter at DColbyD. NC Nick's on Twitter at NC__NICK. The college football experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. And don't forget to check out the FCS college football experience. We went through the whole CAA, New Hampshire, Monmouth. We talked them all. Check that out. Also check out the Stadium Heads podcast. Myself and Michael Barker, aka College Football Campus Tour, talking all classic stadiums. Basically the reason why college football is the fucking greatest. Check it all out. Check out the Sports Gambling podcast. They're going to be around in about 20 minutes, going live, talking NFL stuff. Until next time, folks. This is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot.